Hello, everybody, and welcome back to some more lovely WARNO League action. As for the first time in this season, we are checking out Division 3, and we're started in here with FlyanRyan versus Mike, and Mike coming in on a championship title here on the right side, but not quite in WARNO League, instead in the terrible Division tournament. He used his great division building skills to build the worst deck possible. Let's see if he can build the best deck possible here, bringing around 19th Motos Troleka. That's on the right side. We have left side. We have FlyanRyan with the first K armored division, and the picks and pans here relatively standard. 11th armored cavalry regiment makes sense on the map, and then 79th A2S, second Panzer Grenadier, 16th Panzer Division. That's maybe not so much of a meta division anymore in the latest patches, but was really strong last season. And then second game will be interesting as we have Brunette versus Fifth Blinde, old AMX 30 versus new AMX 30 powerhouse, and that should be pretty interesting as well. So yeah, let's see how this all goes, and let's get into the action here. What do we got so far? All right.
Yeah, so the first pick here was for 19 Motostrzelecka, which is the Czech helicopter assault division, infantry division that kind of is forced to buy Conquerors and Iglas with helicopter transport, for instance, and but also has a significant tank tab, not just with the T-55 AM1s, which are these kind of light tanks, pretty good early on, especially in this current meta, and then a large number of T-72 M1s. And with the helicopter transports, you get these large special forces assault squads, the Visadkari, and they come with good AT weapons, which is pretty rare for Czech forces, 2 machine guns and good rifles. They are not forward deployed, but the helicopter transports is more than capable. And this it is very common to either basically with 19th you get a couple of different standard openers. One of them is that you do a mech opener and follow it up with fast transported infantry special forces when you find the enemy find a weakness in the enemy's front line. And the other one is that you open with the helicopters. You can get Su-25s, you get good helicopters, you get small helicopters, you get jammer helicopters, you get everything you need to do if you want to do like actual helicopter cheesery. And right now it seems like we are just getting a relatively standard opener here with a Cube opener for defense, one helicopter spec ops, one light helicopter, and some of those light vehicles, and they are going to try to attack Bravo. And meanwhile, the rest of the front line is held by these RT ships, Recon Special Forces, and Motopros Community to kind of just keep some kind of a screening force. Importantly, Mike is not trying to contest Delta, despite Mike having a powerful infantry tab, a lot of good infantry, not trying to go there. And that is because First UK, being the counter pick here, has a forward deployment advantage. It has SAS patrols, it has Pararover Milans, which are great forward deployed ATGM weapons, and theoretically it would also have standard forward deployment infantry, but we're not seeing it played here because it's kind of mediocre. And FlyanRyan, importantly, is not bringing out a challenger early on, instead of only bringing out a single Chieftain Mark 9, and that is not going to be enough to deal with 2 T-55 AM1s. Both players here having a pretty wide opener, and with FlyanRyan opening with 2 tornadoes here, predicting the heli assault. So this is the way that you kind of, at least one fighter you always want to have against 19th, because early fighters are kind of 19th's weakness, but the Coup might get a really
also coming in here, but yeah, Coup is baiting it in. MiG-29 there in a bit of a trouble though, likely gonna get shut down. Can the Coup retaliate? The Coup can retaliate. Su-25 in trouble now as well. Tornado on its heel will get the kill there, and the Coup can't protect it. Coup maybe can get a shot on the way out. Otherwise, there's no short-range missiles left, so the helicopters are fine. But Su-25 and MiG-29 kills still. Nice trade there for FlyanRyan. Getting only one tornado lost is fine. The tornado here won't be able to kill the Visadkari. but it does get an important kill on the S25 that can't now delete the opening SAS patrols. No ground-based AA here, so the S25 would have gone completely uncontested if the tornado would have been pushed back by a coup hit. So really important that that didn't happen there. Me too URP here. Being an annoying little helicopter, no anti-helicopter AA outside, but next tornado already on
There's
the
a
way.
second tornado.
Does miss there
Eco-
completely? Okay, that not even getting the gun run. Coop is out of ammo and not moving with the supply truck as it was on an attack order, so Coop can't assist the situation on the front line right now. Tornado will get the kill against the Me Too URP, but until then, at least it could deal a bit of damage here. Will find the Rover Milan, so did pay off for itself there, but the northern flank still not falling to Mike immediately with that push. And that is a bit of a problem here for our player in red, as that was the idea here with the surrender of the south. So, gonna be hard to push into Bravo now.
But importantly, the ATGM was taken out by that by the ERP. Now, as the SAS patrol is going to lose under this fire support, the chieftain and the scouts are basically going to be alone here. The scouts can be bursted down after some fighting, and I think FlyanRyan, considering how little there is coming in with infantry reinforcements, those tornadoes really punched a gap in the actual like pushing here. There's a chieftain Mark 11 and a striker, so weaponry capable of stopping this, but they are gonna take their sweet time. And no, the VZ Curry are going down here, but there is an RT ships unit here spotting for the BMP-1.
Chieftain gets sideshotted, gets killed by the Chieftain, but at the same time, VZ Curry here in trouble as well. The AVRE doing a decent amount of damage to a good couple of units, who gets a stun on the BMP-1. Chieftain needs to show frontal armor here. The T-55AM doesn't really have the penetration to deal with the Chieftain frontally. It has 12 frontal armor against only 14 penetration, even on these ranges. With its 4 hit points, it should be okay. But yeah, the side shot there is annoying. Chieftain Mark 9 here in general is still well microed by FlyanRyan beforehand. Got one T-55 already gone. And at the same time, a small little push with the motor push community in the south against the SAS patrol and the MG, but not achieving all that much. MiG-21 gets pushed back. The Coup finally started to move to the front line, is reloaded in the north as a new Me-Too URP has arrived. But the Chieftain and the Centurion staying alive for now, doing their best there, and really giving FlyanRyan the time to send in reinforcements. A lot of reinforcements to the south, though. That's a bit of a surprise. I feel like he needs to get as many emergency reinforcements to Bravo to make sure that that holds.
Yeah, Mike is buying a little bit defensively, actually, getting a Coup, a Conquerors, and a Dana. Dana, of course, autoloader equipped, quite powerful, targeting on long range this Pararoma Milan, which is not in cover right now. But without extra tank support, I don't think the attack up north is going to keep on going. The SIGINT is going to reveal a certain amount of reinforcements here. The MI2 ERPs are there is nothing that can shoot them down immediately, so they can keep up some kind of fire control, but there is nothing that can realistically advance up Bravo anymore. And I don't actually think it's that stupid for Mike to just try to get down south. We see this command vehicle is already moving. We're seeing 2 more infantry units following this BMP-2 up Charlie. And excuse me, I'm almost sneezing. You have to continue it.
And yeah, the Me Too Europe here in the north did get a kill against the Centurion AVRE finally, but the new Chieftain has arrived, so that front line isn't going to get reached anytime soon. So rotating around here with the BMP-2 does make some sense, but there are still 3 Rover Milans here that could find it. Tornadoes now moving up north to try to get a kill against the Me Too Europe. There are 2 Coups by now, so chances are one of the Tornadoes, when they go down like this for strafing, will get shut down. Oh, Coups on the attack order now. That's a bit weird. Get the kill, though. Focus fire did work out there last second. I believe they would have targeted that one anyways at that point, but get the kill here on the Tornado. That's a good trade. Dana is doing a decent job. If you kill all the Tornadoes, then the air defense of FlyanRyan's first UK is falling apart. Their ground-based AA is relatively abysmal. And we have Motostreltsy pushing in the south, BMP-2 still trying their best there, but now the Rover Milan has a line of sight. BMP2 micro good from Mike there, but the situation in itself still not quite where Mike wants it to be. Still not really having a foothold here. Motorstealthy gonna get defeated, and this is a problem. Dana and AA and so on now have to start to play the value game so that maybe Mike can grind the way back in here. M109 arriving on the other side, try to deal damage to the enemy team with artillery. Actually tried to do counter battery against the Dana. That should not work. It has a move order immediately afterwards. Yeah, the counter battery with a single M109 is not worthwhile. Don't use a single M109 as counter battery, especially not against a division with mobile artillery. Like maybe against towed artillery, it can work, but against everything else, you need to have at least 2 guns or a big MOR-10 to do the job.
Yeah, or just simply you have to spot that your enemy is not doing the due diligence, not moving the Dana around. These Danas have been getting move order after every single salvo. Mike wanting to get them firing immediately. And yeah, 2 Dana opener, not really opener, but 2 Dana mid-game. Actually, the counter battery is hitting the second Dana almost. But yeah, 2 Dana opener here is a pretty clear show that Mike is now trying to outscale this. The opener did not work out, and the infantry sacrifice down south gave the information that it's not really realistic to push into Delta either. Delta already has a chieftain, Delta has MGs, Milans, everything is out there, and the javelins are to prevent kind of a mid-game overrun with the VSAT-Kari. You save up 3-4 helicopters and try to get them there. That's not really realistic now either with the javelins out. And FlyanRyan is buying just infantry reinforcements all around, knowing that infantry pushing is the only way that this game is going to change. But Mike is countering this by just trying to, immediately just turn into an artillery destruction game. Just the enemy is only leading by +1, now increasing to +2, and the Danas are going to have to counter and gain back the advantages that were lost with the not necessarily against the tornadoes, but against just failing to do that early opener.
Yeah, Dana here setting up to try to deal with FlyanRyan's other units, trying to get AT unit after AT unit, and maybe getting some kill onto some of the tanks once any of them become too complacent and stationary. And so far, the grind back here, K-Device is working out over the last couple of minutes. And the next unit here might go down with the striker. Great reaction from FlyanRyan, that is good. Yeah, you have to be on your toes when you know the enemy has 2 Danas. Every single shot you see, you immediately have to figure out where it's going and try to save those units. Otherwise, you will fall behind quite quickly. The M109 here on the other side, still trying to counter battery, but Mike is doing the micro thing out of the way there. We have some Prums showing up now as well. Those are the little artillery pieces with a pretty decent fire angle. The little mortars, 120mm mortars that can be helpful to deal with Milan 1 teams and so on as well. Set up nice little smoke screens too. And the Dana now setting up to deal with some armored rifles, some warrior pleaks. Every single stationary unit here getting quickly targeted by Mike, and this might work out. The warrior pleak not moving just yet. Infantry goes down. Warrior likely soon to go down as well. Ooh, Tornado once more flying over the double coup. Gets shut down by the Yesterka. Tornado cluster coming in for the kill on the coups. Can they retaliate at least? Not quite, but MiG-21 still behind this as well. Oh, it misses the missiles, and it runs out of gun ammo just before the Tornado goes down. That is really annoying. If the trade would have happened, losing 2 coups for 1 Tornado AA and 1 Tornado cluster, that is totally fine. Losing 2 coups here and the MiG-21 and not quite getting the Tornado cluster, that is just pretty annoying here for Mike.
Yeah, there was just extra shots that was fired by both of those coups against a doomed fighter. The fighter obviously there to bait the coups and to find them out immediately. Now the fighting happening here, the T-72s in the front line, it's Milan 1 at the Citadel. The RT ships are kind of trying to soften the defenses here, but nothing is dealing with this. The Danas could maybe start firing at those.
Oh no, next cluster bomber coming in. There's a T-72 position here. Or it's just coming for the Danas. Oh, it's coming for the Danas. It gets one of the Danas. Yeah, no Coops around, no MiG-29s around, so easy run here for the Tornado, and really showing how powerful those beasts are at the moment. Kind of ruining the long game strategy of Mike's here, so Mike now has to figure out how to breach one of the perimeters, and he's not really in the footing to breach any of them right now.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Pushing in the north, trying to get the chieftains and the javelins here moving around, but they only have the RPG-7 VM. They are not as well equipped as their East German and Soviet counterparts, so chieftains can take shots from the RPG-7 VM quite easily, and that is a problem. 2 new coups on the way, but yeah, the loss of the Dana there, and it's an upvetted Dana, so you only get 1 per card, so there is only these 2 Danas in the deck most likely. I believe you only get 2 cards. You might get 3 cards, but even then, this is still a massive reduction of the long game plan here. And that Tornado cluster, both of them surviving, really, really painful here for Mike.
Yeah, at least we know that Mike does have a second card of coups, so maximum of 6 coups in this deck. So losing those 2 ones were not necessarily catastrophic. The first UK generally is really reliant on its air power, but this is a rare matchup in which it's technologically kind of equivalent to the T-72s, at least when it starts bringing out the challengers. We still haven't seen... We have the Challenger Mark III, but we're still largely seeing these chieftains. And the chieftains are a little bit underperforming against the T-72s, I guess, but just having the numbers in this kind of a small, close-range area, the numbers might actually pay off a little bit more, because, of course, you want to have all of your support equipment here to deal with the Visakari and all the rest.
SU-25, can it find a kill? No, it cannot. That is quite annoying here as well. The push with the T-72 and the T-55s trying to get through, but when you don't get any of the tanks killed here, when there are still a Challenger and a Chieftain Mark 9 in round, then that's just not going to happen. Gets the Chieftain Mark 9, the Challenger is behind the smoke, so S25 won't get that. He's now trying to get out, and the T-72 and the T-55 pushing in. The Challenger is outperforming them penetration-wise and frontal armor-wise by a bit, but the T-72 M1 here really solid on these short ranges. Challenger usually tries to fight it on the longer ranges. Is getting the first shot though, and is getting the kill. HE Bomber coming around as well, getting a fantastic run as well, killing the Conquerors, killing the Visakari. CV trying to come in. Ooh, bailout, yeah, on the Challenger. The T-55 here doing its job. Bailout on the Challenger might allow the T-55 here over time to get the kills. Striker and AVRE could still ruin that if the AVRE goes in first, and then the Challenger maybe could be saved. Dana not coming around here, but yeah, that bailout on the Challenger paying off so far. Chieftain not pushing far enough to deal with the T-55. The T-55 is still getting free shots. That is a mistake here. That is a big mistake. Yeah. The T-55 could be dealt with. Okay, T-55 has fallen back. Challenger likely gonna get under fire by the Dana now, though. Yes, and it is now too low to survive this. So this T-55 AM1 will move forward, likely get the kill here in a second, and finish the Challenger's job. Yeah, there we go. Bailout and a really, really crucial moment here. And Chieftain Mark 11 and AVRE pushing forward again. Tornado HE Bomber getting an important kill. Visakari are likely going to fall here as well. So Mike still only holding on by the skin of his teeth here to this Bravo point, and he needs more than that. So he needs to keep Bravo occupied for the long run so that he then can swing down south, where we see a couple of BMP-1s and BMP-2s assemble with their Moto Stealthy to try to get in. But the question is, can he really hold on here? T-72 M1 on the way. The Tornado Bombers keep on coming. But for now, the situation seems to be stabilizing as there's no tank on the front line for Ryan anymore.
Yeah, meanwhile, we've seen Mike to building up some amount of infantry in attempt to maybe later or further in the game push into Charlie. And there are already, like, yeah, now those units are moving. Jesterkas are being ordered in here. And is using Visarkaris to reinforce the front line, which I think is a great way to compensate for those losses that are being sent against the tornadoes, so as to not lose the momentum while the coops try to deal with the tornadoes. But there is a significant lack of supply here. Neither of the coops are armed, and these Visakari are not going to be able to deal with those 7 armored rifles units. And yeah, though on the other hand, also, the tornado gets a shot against the T-55. The Pram with the Conkers moves in and tries to misses against the striker as well, and another T-72 gets ordered in. Tornado, Dana missing completely against an enemy unit, and neither side really does have the momentum right now, but at least the tick has been stopped for Mike's side. Now Mike really just needs to get a wall of T-72s in here. They can bring out the numbers, and the enemy cannot efficiently really push that with any amount of tanks. But if this attack just keeps losing unit after unit against either striker hits or warrior uplink hits, the SAS patrol having this perfect spotting here, though.
Yeah, the Pram goes down, the Satavas go down, the Dana trying to do its best here with really close fire support, but the warrior uplink here with the Milan 2 really efficient against the T-72s and the T-55 ones as well, nearly one-shotting them. And now it's down to infantry here again for Mike. The other side only having a limited amount of infantry around here as well. The push in the south now coming in from Mike. That's where we still see a chieftain from FlyanRyan that desperately tries to defend this. We have SAS patrol still in there. We have still some Rover Milan. So this is a pretty even matchup between these forces here. And so far, Ryan does a good way on the defense. HE Bomber does get another good hit in the north. Vizatkari and Motostrelci heavily reduced. The armored rifles now should win against the stressed out Vizatkari. That is down to 3 hit points. Yeah, especially with the warrior pleak getting involved as well. So Mike likely gonna lose that northern point, and this is the infantry push in the south. The fire support there from the BMP-1s and BMP-2s is doing a bit of work, but the question is it doing enough? There is still more infantry behind all of this. There is still some Spartan fire support. The Chieftain Mark 9 is still unharmed. So a bit of reinforcements for the south would be important now for FlyanRyan. Otherwise, they will have to counter push in the north. The situation in the south is starting to deteriorate. But they are still at an okay angle for now. The issue is all the reinforcements currently going to the north. Makes sense. They started to win there again. But if they give up the southern push here, then they will have to win the north harder. So that is going to be interesting. The Chieftain goes down. Warrior Pleak in the north goes down as well. We have another tornado. And this time around, it gets the bombs off. It does get hit. Oh no, it gets another coup. Does it survive on the way out? It does survive on the way out. So yeah, RNG does equal out. Tornadoes surviving. And Chieftain Mark 3s going down to bailouts. That's what this is all about. But
the southern attack, in the southern attack, there's a Gazelle swarm going to clean up the southern attack, and the Jesterka was just taken out by a Milan 1. There is no AA defenses for Mike outside of the autocannon and the BMP-2, but look at the infantry reinforcements of FlyanRyan. They have been given a T instead of a Y order, so they are moving standard speed to attack instead of fast moving to deploy. Those units could have already been there.
Yeah, we see
that is a little mistake.
Gazelle rockets and the Hell Arms coming in, but the Gazelle rockets, they don't really clean this up. There's too much stuff by now moving in here. There is a T-72 on the way as well. Challenger Mark II dueling with a T-72 and one in the north. Ooh, the CV goes down. Milan doing a good job there. The Spartan on the side has been doing a good job spotting stuff. And we are back on a +1 here for FlyanRyan. There is no force pushing through the north, and yet the situation in the AA camp is terrible now. It's only 1 coup on the battlefield, and we know that there are still 3 tornadoes out there that can come around here again. So Mike in a terrible spot right now.
Yeah, this is Mike has been successfully kind of applying pressure all around the map, and I love a player who plays the whole map, especially when the enemy is kind of, even if not successfully, the enemy is kept on their toes right from the start by smoke aggression, by investing heavily into the coups so they can't sit behind their air supremacy by the Danas. But it just seems like FlyanRyan is just kind of fundamentals themselves out of this. Like the second Dana is also really hurt by that counter battery. It hasn't been moved and it has been used actively. The infantry down south being hunted and not provided enough support. Supply lines aren't really working. These are the twos don't, or the Dana and the Coops don't have enough supply to hold. And FlyanRyan, when that attack happened, when that smoke push happened, and when those motostrelts started pushing forwards, tactically retreated onto that forested hill. And that was the correct decision. Just not fighting for the ground and waiting for the better ATGMs, the pre-prepared positions, and the tornadoes to whittle the enemy away. The enemy's back was broken on Bravo, and now the enemy is trying to compensate for it by doing these smaller attacks all around the map. But FlyanRyan has more than enough to deal with those small attacks. And yeah, it's I love 19th. I love the fact that both of these divisions are a little bit like specialized, maybe B tier divisions, not necessarily the top ones. They have obvious weaknesses against the top divisions, but they both can do the specific stuff. And the specific stuff of First UK.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Finally, the tornado goes
airplanes.
down. CV tank goes down for it beforehand, though. So these cluster bombers have paid off multiple times over by now. The coup number 5 arriving on the map in the south. Mike is still trying to get the pressure on there in the south, but reinforcements finally arrive here for Ryan as they have stabilized the north. CV only needed for the north to get it fully back, and that is coming in a challenger form. And +1 already taking 750 points here is really, really good. But the situation here for Mike is that they just don't have the AA to consistently defend their good units. And on Vertigo, you sometimes just have to plop on an important location, and then those tornadoes are just the perfect counter. And yeah, the current situation with those bombers, they might just be a bit too cheap, and that really brought back the first UK. And I would say it's a really good deck at the moment again. It's not quite S tier, but it is a really, really good division. And 19th on the other side is a really flexible division in general as well. Both of these are good combined arms division. But yeah, the heavier tank division in the end, when it also has the air power, it is a tough thing to overcome. So 19th here. The Danas were the idea, but when they got hit by the tornado cluster, the situation here deteriorated quite quickly for Mike because he was forced into pushes that he just didn't want to execute at that point.
Yeah, there are weaknesses that are not immediately visible on with 19th, and one of them is that every time a Conquerors has been bought here, most of the times it has been in a vehicle, either in BMP2s or in BRDM carriers, and this is because otherwise you need to buy them in Mi2 helicopters, be at Veterancy 2, which is of course nice, but those helicopters are risky, and just having them around or having them deploy while any tornado might just swat them out of the sky makes it kind of a little bit more daring to buy standard ATGMs for the Citadel, for instance. Right now in the middle, there's an AGS, there's a Salosnichi. No ATGMs trying to keep up this flank or keep up a concave against FlyanRyan's forces. And you can buy Fagots with standard deployment, but it's just an extra little thing that really just hurts you on the long run playing 19th. You really have to get used to deploying stuff with helicopters, otherwise you're going to have just support team weaknesses.
Yeah, and the M109 here now targeting the coops as well. Coop situation, as the Sea Tornado has arrived, is not getting any better. BMP2 in the north going down, so the armored rifles and rifles actually might make it through. The Mi-24 did a decent job at holding off the northern push. The Challenger went down, but on the other side, all the defensive BMP2s and T-72s went down as well. So situation there is still critical. SU-25 does get a kill against the Hellarm in the south. There is a bit of a push power now with 2 BMP2s, a T-72s, and the accompanying infantry. As another one tries to rotate around, but there is still a Chieftain Mark 9 down there. There are still a couple of rovers there, and M109s could assist bit more support for the south would be helpful here at this point, but currently a push to the north is viable as well for FlyanRyan. So even if Ryan gets contested at Charlie, they can potentially still just push the north. Me24 in trouble. Tractor Pierce have arrived, 3 of them. So FlyanRyan maybe even overcompensating there a bit with the AA situation now. Bought 5 Tractor Pierce in the last 3 minutes or so. So a bit weaker on the front line, but they have demolished enough of Mike's units that there is no immediate danger of a bigger push. So it is kind of okay to go back into the support equipment and make sure that you don't lose to a surprise build-up in the S-Plan.
Yeah, the 2 T-72s coming in to siege Delta are probably the only realistic attack that's going to happen sooner or later. There already are some vehicles, BMP-2s and a T-72. Jesterka, opening up against the Gazelles and getting taken out, but the Gazelles use most of their ammunition to deal with it anyways. So Stealthy and BMPs can move up, walk up forwards. There is a lack of infantry here, and as you said, those Tractor Pierce are not infantry. So potentially with the Pram smoking out that ATGM position, T-72s could push up and could maybe even capture Charlie. Tornado HE is waiting, and as long as there is some kind of spotting here, everything that Mike has on the ground is under risk, though.
Yeah, T-72 is rolling forward, but there is the Tornado in the corner, waiting its opportune moment to strike. It likely should have already dropped here, as you want to get it out again later and restart the reload timer. And yeah, we have a decent amount of forces in the north here, armored rifles, and rifles went into the forest, so Mike is struggling to get that back. The +2 situation here, really, really good. The S-25 rocket coming in to finish off the job, gets a turret struck on the Chieftain, but the T-72 is not yet in position, and you would need an overwhelming victory here for Mike now to turn around the tide when it comes to the point tick. So that is the real issue here. Now 2 tornadoes going down. Only the HE one here surviving. Okay, finally some important kills. Finally the air power of FlyanRyan has been broken. Only 1 Tornado HE left, and that one is even damaged so much that it will be a wild hit that comes back. Those were the air kills that Mike needed 5 or 10 minutes ago, but at least they got them now, leaving a bit of a chance open here now. As the Chieftain goes down, they have 3 T-72s and the T-72 MK down here now, but they don't have any infantry anymore. The one Motostreltsy in the open is getting demolished. There are still ATGMs here, as the Motostreltsy is trying to get around the flank. BMP-1 leader is getting out. Smoke of the Pram is doing a decent job. Northern situation, really fragile here for Mike as well, so if FlyanRyan realizes that they might be under pressure in the south, they still can rotate up north, and then a plane or so is needed to stop the CV from getting there. Motostreltsy getting into a good spot, getting some ambushes on some reinforcing infantry here. FlyanRyan not quite realizing what happened there, but on the other side, oh no, the BMP-1 runs in towards the Assault Pioneer Carl Gustav, and the Carl Gustav gets a hit, doesn't get a kill. Can the BMP-1 finish it off before it gets the second shot out? And okay, BMP-1 there not getting killed off by the Carl Gustav, I'm not quite sure. I guess, yeah, it must have been a frontal hit, and that's how it survived there. Tornadoes.
Don't hit 13 pen.
Yeah. And then we get a kill here on the Tornado seat that is finally finishing off the air power really for good. But on the other side, MiG-29 and Coop go down as well. Charlie is getting captured. Delta is getting contested, but the T-72 there is in trouble. Infantry on the way, S-25 on the way. So, yeah, trying to do the best here of swinging this around. But how do you stop the northern push? The Su-25 should be up here right now and try to kill 2 or 3 challengers. But instead, it is brought in the south, where there is not much for it to do and not much for it to achieve. And the challenger counter push in the north, that likely is going to be the thing that breaks Mike completely, as he has nothing there to respond to this.
Yeah, the conquerors are smoked out, and that really is it. Even if the reinforcements were ordered in now, they would not be enough to prevent the enemy from getting into India. Just a 2-point back point, basically the full-on win condition for the blue player. And Yeah, so far, I mean, I'm impressed that Mike managed to get this far here, but I think FlyanRyan just is calling any kind of a bluff that is being held here by just driving into the position. Now, SU-25 is moving in here. There is barely any recon, but the Conquerors could maybe spot one of those tanks. I have a feeling the track repairers are going to have a field day with this one.
Yeah, no recon on the challengers is the big issue here. The SU-25 beforehand could have had a chance of at least halting this attack for long enough that more SU-25s and more airplay could have arrived maybe, but the second one here just coming in way too late, and now we are back to a +1 for Ryan. Now we are below 10-minute mark, so a +2 would not suffice here at this stage anymore, and that is the big issue here now for Mike. They are starting to win in the south, but they can't win in the south and the north at the same time anymore. The Tornadoes have done enough damage long game that this is not possible, and the defensive engagements here in the south went well enough for Ryan for long enough that now that the push finally happens, there's just not enough force here to do anything like a maneuver towards Bravo or Papa. With the remaining forces, it's only enough to likely hold the Charlie and Delta point, but not more than that. And you need more than that. You need to get a weird flank into Papa or so, as Mike here now, if you want to have a chance.
Yeah, it's the first UK's trick, which is forward deployment opener, and trick number 2, which is tornadoes. Both of them worked out really well. The SAS patrol were sacrificed in the opener to stop the enemy from getting into Bravo, to slow down and neuter their tank numbers advantage. The tornadoes, even though constantly hard countered by coups, where the coups were targeted by the M109s and the tornadoes as well. Even though the seed plane was brought out relatively late, the coup count was successfully kept down, and this is a huge achievement from FlyanRyan's part. It's pretty difficult to beat a series of super powerful 110-point units with a bunch of 275-point bombers, but they managed to push through. And by the time the Su-25s and all of these very powerful just air removal forces from Mike are coming out to try to exploit the fact that the enemy didn't have that many track repairs, the enemy started having track repairs. For most of the early game, the Su-25s, especially the AT ones, could have probably done a lot to just do something with the game, but Mike never had a proper ground force, and they lacked an infantry front line in most places, and they kept losing tanks, even if those tanks traded pretty decently with the British stuff. Especially the ATGMs of the British just kept getting decent enough results. The 11 armor or 11 front armor of the T-55 AM1 is quite weak because it can be seriously damaged by even the weakest missiles around the Milan ones.
Yeah, Challenger here getting pushed back, but the situation in the north is stable enough for now. The T-72 and the Conqueror is trying to deal with the Challenger. Ryan has to be careful to not overextend there. Oh, getting stunned down, but it's only 5 minutes. Even if you start driving in now, the BMP-1 CV is on the way, but it's still too far out here. So yeah, the CV Challenger Mark 2 gets in the south, gets a contest on here. The northern situation has been thrown away here by FlyanRyan, but it still likely is not enough here. As the CV is not fast enough. If this would have been a fast CV instead of a BMP-1, then it would already be there now, and then it maybe could get into Bravo and Papa as well, swing around big, but with the capture or the contest of the southern point here, reducing the chances for Mike even more and increasing the gap, the situation is just not developing that way. So Mike really trying to play here till the last second and trying to get stuff going, but FlyanRyan just got too much of an advantage here over the early stages of the game that this is just not something that you can catch up to. But it really shows you how the 19th can play those grind games. Like, they can bring combined arms till the last minute because they have a decently deep tap in every single tap, so that works out quite well here. But yeah, it's just not enough at this stage when the Tornado cluster bombers just achieve this much against your frontline in the early stages.
Yeah, and I said this already, but I really just want to point out again how the tactical retreat from Bravo was just probably one of the key reasons why FlyanRyan was able to capture that zone back so quickly, and the knowing where your front line's weaknesses are, which is that none of your units can deal with a VSAT carry, and if there is a smoke barrage in front of them, your fire support is irrelevant. So just move everybody, just save everybody, just get them back and get them into proper positions, and try to dare the enemy to keep up the attack. Try to dare the enemy to fight you when you have slightly better positions. FlyanRyan could afford that because of the controlling the rest of the map in the middle, and Mike also, despite Mike managing to capture the Citadel and the AGS-17 is still there, still no ATGMs, still no properly using the middle to try to impose fire control, and that's one of those things that you just never end up doing when you're constantly hounded on all fronts.
Yeah, the push in the north is starting to work. We have a +1 now for Mike, but it all comes in a bit too late here. So yeah, it's going to be a FlyanRyan victory, and Mike is grinding it out here, and that makes sense. Like going out on the feeling of I can beat this guy in the late stages, I can come back, and if I get a better early game, then I can absolutely beat this guy. Like getting that experience is important for the mindset and for getting good feeling for the next game. You don't want to just go out on the oh damn I just got air spammed and this is all terrible mindset. So grinding it out for a bit longer stages here makes sense. And yeah, surrenders here at the last at the 37-minute point when the CVs in the south did get pushed out again. But really close game here. The KD quite close together as well, and yeah, a couple better moves, like slightly spreading out your coup A units, for example, and then the situation looks different. But FlyanRyan with a really good use of the air and also really, really solid defensive uh, posture in the south. Like there were a couple of situations where Mike, if Ryan would have had slightly worse positioning, could have gotten in there earlier, and then the situation here with the points would have looked quite different. But Ryan did manage to hold them off there time and again, and the kill on the artillery, realizing that that is the way that you could lose a grind game, and going after that with the tornado cluster, really good choice as well. So really, really well done by FlyanRyan here in game one, and still a strong fight from Mike. So I'm pretty excited for the second game as well.
Yeah, and if you want to see a game where the opener is going to be extremely relevant for both divisions, stick around for the next one.
Yep, as the second one will be Thaler with Brunette versus 15 Days, so that should be a hard one as well. Two AMX 30 heavy divisions duking it out. Let's see if the old guard of the 15 Day it can hold up for Mike, or if the fresh blood of the Brunette is coping them up. So
Yes.
So here we return. Game number 2. FlyanRyan versus Mike. And FlyanRyan up 1-0. Bringing around now the new one. The Brunette Division versus Mike's 5th A Blinde. And before we jump in here, quick shout out to the Matcherino page, guys. Because this is high competitive Warno. And this also means there is a prize pool involved. And the prize pool is funded by the community. And you can support it without even having to pay anything yourself. All you have to do is click on the code in the chat and click the claim code button up on the top. So that you add 25 cents to the prize pool completely for free. 7 codes remaining. And once we use them up, we can apply for new codes. So the quicker we get this, the more free money we can add into the prize pool over the run of the season. So if you want to help out the tournament directly and get these players a bit more for their great games, then you can do that here. And big thanks to everybody who contributed money directly. You can do that here as well over the top. And yeah, let's get back into the action. By the way, also, if you have a Twitch Prime laying around or so, that would obviously help the channel out quite a bit. Thanks to all the YouTube channel members and Twitch subscribers. Much appreciated. And thanks to Valos earlier for coming around with another Twitch subscription for 14 months. Much appreciated. And yeah, let's get back into the action here, as we have FlyanRyan versus Mike setting up with AMX30 galore for us.
Yeah, so FlyanRyan seems to be doing the trying to do basically a recon rush / mechanized forward deployment opener with the AMX30 EM1 recons and the Jinetes, which you get 2 cards of, are being brought out at Veteran C1. They're powerful fighting squads with good AT weapons, they're recon, and they have a little recon vehicle transport for themselves, which is also quite nice and fast especially. And they are going to try to push towards golf, probably. And I think based around what the HR-15 recon helicopter says, they're either going to push to golf or maybe try to take the northern flank of Delta, which is central point. And meanwhile, the French are basically trying to do kind of the same, but instead pushing into Alpha with some light infantry. The French deployment is very recon heavy with 3 recon helicopters, AMX-10s, and like almost all of the Special Forces Dragon Para recon units. These are 75-point units with GSR, all the bonus stats, good infantry weapons, but no AT weapons. So the BMR, PP, reconnaissance vehicles can just easily drive above them and just destroy those expensive squads for free if that situation happens. And it really seems like I think Mike is probably just purposefully trying to figure out what the enemy is doing, knowing that those AMX-30 recons could be anywhere. There's also an immediate air advantage for the Spanish for having way better planes, the Hornets. Mirage F1 is going to contest the Hornet right now, and it does drive it off. So the Gazelle Cannons Alouettes can survive for a little bit longer.
Yeah, good run there for Mike, getting the nearly 100 point more expensive plane pushed out of there. So that is quite helpful. Disciplines finding some BMRs in the middle, but yeah, the moment you realize where the AMX-30s are, you need to play around that. And the Supline in the north goes down. That is devastating. FlyanRyan now with the push power to just go completely towards golf. So Mike will have to adjust to that. Has played with a really spread out force. No AMX-30s of his own on the battlefield. Normal AMX-30s can be pretty efficient against the recon one, but there are none here. So Mike has to play really, really carefully now across the board. Played quite lightly with fire support teams and all those Dragon Paras that we were talking about earlier. 2 CV units versus no CV units at the other side. So just more combat capable forces here for Ryan from the get-go. And that is something that Mike has to respect a lot now, because if he doesn't just want to get overrun.
Yeah, Mike's light infantry push in Southwest was kind of pushed back by this VEC-25. which they can't deal with it without any kind of support. Even just a helicopter could help with this. But every piece of resources is going to go to stop this full-on attack. The Spanish are ordering more AMX-30s. These are the E variants, the cheap ones with heat rounds, but they are still the soft attack is the most important one in these pushes here. And the AMX-30 EM1s do have standard kinetic penetrators, even though their range is not as good as the EM2s. They will be able to penetrate the French tanks, and they're going to be having a bunch more support.
They are heat rounds.
Are they heat rounds?
Yeah.
Oh damn, they actually are.
The recon one is not. The recon one is penetrators, but the EVODs are just the same as the EVODs, but he brings out the E's in the rear. Those are heat. So that's...
I said that this. Well, anyways, the recon ones can, but the other ones are only for fire support.
Yeah, the Super Blinde here getting hit by the ATGM of the helicopter by a near miss. Doesn't quite go down, but is heavily damaged now. Nearly got the EM1, and yeah, the B2 here outperforms the MX-30Es on the other side, most likely. So that is relatively good news here. Mirage and C-15, aka F-18, both getting out after one hit again. The planes for Mike hold up this game. He's not getting overwhelmed in that regard, so that is a good thing. AMX-30 immediately gets hit by an ATGM, though nearly goes down. Oh no, Nate's ATGM already incoming. Oh, this is such a massive loss. The AMX-30B2 immediately going down. The Roland here desperately trying to get rid of the helicopters, does get both. But the situation in the northern part of the map for Mike is now a complete tragedy. Is pushing up a bit forward in the south, but there is a VC-25 that stops all the infantry. Is holding Delta at least, but the northern point likely gonna fall here to FlyanRyan. That means Mike has to really get a grasp now on how to hold around Echo, how to keep your spawn open in the north, because if the enemy pushes into the tree line, then getting back in there is super annoying as well. And yeah, only an AMX-30 and a Roland right now to do it. Will have another takeoff income to work around now, but not really sure what to buy here at this point to really solve this. AMX-30 B2 and a couple of recon units it is, but the B2 is now really important to actually get some kills. It is outclassing all the tanks on the other side, but it has to be careful of the ATGMs.
Yeah, the southwest incursion is going to be stopped permanently now with reinforcements, even anti-air, and a leader to capture Alpha and Charlie. It means that the tick for Mike is finally going to stop. Tick already stopping up northeast. And with the AMX-30s now in front, they can snipe at the any vehicles, but they can't really contest the AMX-30B2. Now, the thing that can actually contest it easily are the Milan missiles, the hot missiles that we earlier saw in that helicopter that just destroyed the French front line. And now with the BMR TOW-2 launcher here, which is the premier TOW-2 launcher, 12 rounds, smoke, great speed, and for 85 points. And if it just moves a little bit forwards, it can engage basically anything that the Jinetes can spot hiding in those tree lines. Mike has to have something here, as you said, to prevent the enemy from pushing into the spawn. But Mike is in a really bad position. Like, Mike needs to start doing stuff here, even with the +2 for this moment, because leader has actually is right on the border of the zone. As when the Santana Mando takes those zones, FlyanRyan is for the next 33 something minutes is gonna be forced under a tick, and then that's when the attack have to start happening. And AMX-30 firing rounds, Fusileros trying to screen a little bit, but the TOW missiles are scaring the French vehicles away.
Yeah, there is a force of 2 Gazelle Hot 2s, which I really like as an investment. Oh, Mirage Cluster coming in as well. Finds a good drop pattern. Will likely take the Pegaso out and gets the tank as well. So that's a really important swing here for Mike. The Pegaso wanted to get towards the Gazelle Hot 2. That means that is now in a better spot as well. There is still an MX-30 RE that could get it with the Roland 2 missiles, but you want to keep that around against planes. Otherwise, if you reveal it for the Gazelle Hot, then the next Mirage cluster comes up and kills it. So good usage there of the shorter frontline reinforcement route there, and the quicker time for the plane to come in and strike as well here. No time for the enemy react to your planes when they are that close to your spawn. So yeah, really, really well used situation there by Mike. But the AMX-30 is getting in range of the Gazelle Hot, so you need to evacuate that out of there. And yeah, AMX-30 still doing a good job here, keeping the B2 here, keeping the enemy infantry out. So for now, this is all looking relatively decent. The Jaguar HE, a bit of a wasted investment here in my eyes, even risking to get shut down by the AMX-30. Oh yeah, no, this is devastating. Turned the wrong way, gets to pay the price for that. Mismicroed by Mike. Should have turned out the other side. Then this would not have happened, but at the same time, also just using that for a single infantry unit, not a worthwhile investment in the first place, even if it doesn't get shut down. You need to consider more playing around the rest of the map, and pushing into the north is not going to be possible anytime soon either.
Yeah, though AMX-30's fire support tanks destroying the Eclaireur and kind of revealing that Mike is still concentrating on this area. And with those tanks, if Mike managed to get perfect engagements against the Spanish, they could maybe push themselves back on the Gulf. But with this large, like, flank basically that can be exploited, and the really good recon and really good just support weaponry here, whether it be in the AA guns that can destroy the infantry squads very quickly, whether it be with a number of recon, or the fact that the Spanish are now just moving on the Delta to try to relieve some pressure from defenses of Gulf. Now the autocannons here, AMX-30s, do amazing damage here, even at fortified enemies. So Jinetes not in a great position, but as soon as the I know the chasseurs are going to get in here, and the chasseurs are going to have to fight without the fire support. The Jinetes are going to make mincemeat out of them, I think. 2v1 with fire support.
Yeah, the 20mm also getting the Gazelle Hot here on the side, so that one is out for now as well. Ooh, Grenadier Voltigeur Apilas finding a rear shot against an AMX-30 EM2. That's the kind of kills that you need here. It still has 2 more Apilas rounds left. The Toa, okay, unloads at the right spot now, so no more kills for this Apilas squad easily. Might still find the Ginette, but the AMX-30 Sublime goes down as well. So FlyanRyan now controlling the Echo Delta reinforcement path. And the northern push with the chasseur is still under threat. The cluster bomber comes around again, is turning around the right direction this time, and will get some damage, but won't find the kill against the Sablier. Oh, Ryan there with a quick and good reaction against the cluster bombers. The fast French tanks on the open field can still get out of there and do a really good job with that. The Ginette pushing close to the MX-30s in the north. Big, important fight there. Find the recon one. The Sablier does get a hit against the B2. Can the B2 retaliate? It cannot. Has to smoke off. It's too bad AMX-30 B2s here, so they are high quality. But another push of the 2 AMX-30Es from the side here now coming in. Sablier does go down now, though. The B2s will outperform the Es. The E nearly gets the kill, but not quite. Leaves it at 1 hit point, and that's a big issue. Don't have the autocannon there.
Side Ito at least driving the enemy away, not getting the kill here, which is important. Mike cannot afford to lose anything more, especially not more of the tanks. So far, the AMX-30 Mando, the leader, blue leader, now moving into the middle, kind of realizing or testing that there is no AT weaponry out here, literally 0 AT weapons right now. The Brennuses are going to be driving in, and with a Milan 1, and yeah, Milan 1's not in position to counter the Brennuses.
Ooh, cluster bomber trying to get around, does not find the Mando though. Mando already drove out of the zone. Mirage there wastes another bomb drop. Those you just can't afford right now as Mike. You need to get back into this game to stop the +2 tick here as fast as possible. You're still ahead on points, so if you can stabilize the north somehow, then the game here is still absolutely up for grasp. But currently, this push up north not working out. Roland 2 just got killed off. MX-30s in trouble. There are 4 MX-30s on the battlefield for Mike right now, but the recon situation here has deteriorated a lot. A lot of his recon has been shoot through, and the question is, how much do you even have left at this point, especially with the southern push here now coming out of FlyanRyan, trying to profit from the heavy investments that Mike's has was forced to bring up north. Mirages here failing to get a hit against the F-18. Only gunshots hit the F-18 here, so it is forced out, but it is not going to repair for long. And the Mirages will be able to reload quickly, but that F-18 not taking a missile, showing you how good the ECM on it is and how terrible French missiles are at the same time.
Yeah, the AT Hornet managed to destroy the tank guarding Bravo, and since then the FlyanRyan has tentatively started moving towards. Now Ryan sending in helicopter counterforce, Gazelle Cannon, Gazelle Hot, and some commandos with the Roland 3.
But the VEC is having the Bushmaster autocannon. It opens up onto the Gazelle Hot first. Might allow the Gazelle Cannon here to get the kill in return. Oh, it does get close. Really, really close here. VEC can get the kill as well. That is devastating. The commando in the Super Puma trying to come in, but the AMX-30 EM2 has great firepower as well. No, the Super Puma goes down as well. The complete counter push here falling apart. Roland 3 rolling in, but it is now unprotected, and there is still the autocannon, the Bushmaster of the VEC here. Roland 3 in a lot of trouble. No reinforcements here coming in. It breaks line of sight. Ryan not immediately reacting, so it might stay alive, but the EM2 pushing closer towards it as well. Okay, Ryan not chasing it. That is really fortunate for Mike there in the Roland 3 case, but the first part of this went completely terrible. As we see a Super Leader going down in the north, but the B2 went down as a trade there as well. So Mike is not making any progress in the northern push. Is still holding the center. The Eclair getting into a decent position there once more, but the helicopter push here getting completely denied on the flank. And Bravo falling, creating the +2 here, 3 here, sets up the pressure even harder as the cluster bomber does try to find a hit. The AA in the north is dead, so the cluster bomber has time to find the target, but at the same time, the tanks and the support vehicle of Mike are all dead as well there. So Mike not really having a force to push in with P4 PC rolling in on its own, but there's just way too much there. This P4 can't stay around and likely is just gonna get killed.
Yeah, the twin 50 cals of the AMX-30 EM2, like they just, especially one of those 50 cals having double the accuracy, just incredible. Like mass, and also being 2-bet, which works so well with the 50 cals. Just immense firepower against helicopters. Then second commando is going to go down here. Now there is a guy boy here opening fire, and it's not doesn't have a line of sight to deal with the commando, but the AMX-30. No, it fires just a little bit too slow. The AMX-30 Brennus, as its support vehicles, are still in fight. The guy boy gets shot down. The Santana Mondo has to leave pretty quickly. Commandos are going to move in here. And with no fighting infantry close by here, this zone is Bravo is probably going to go back to the French. Now, FlyanRyan.
F-18AT though coming around again, doesn't find the line of sight. We have a cluster plane coming in from the other side for Mike, and yeah, Mike could really use a breakthrough here in the south, but sending in the Mirage at the wrong moment, gets the bomb drop off, might get a bit of damage there. Yeah, gets the tow. The Milan one and the transport forward, but loses the Mirage cluster, so in the end, still not a good trade here. F-18 too strong. The MX-30s now might be able to use that moment. There is only a Milan 1 and a Tor with the Milan remaining as anti-tank in the south. F-18 gets pushed out as well, so another Jaguar or so could maybe be helpful in the south now. But at the same time, the push in the north completely devastated. Commandos being brought up here, but they are on their own. There is no support for them, so that they are a bit wasted here as well. That's 65-point Special Forces infantry. That's your advantage in the infantry fights here in this matchup. Outside of that, the Spanish infantry is more cost efficient in the infantry fights, and they have all the grenade launchers and so on. But commandos are your ace up your sleeve, so if you waste them on the open field like this is really, really painful. The MX-30B2 in the south goes down as well. Oh no, Mike is in trouble here. Still holding on to the center, but the southern push is not materializing right now. And it's just a bit too many trades every couple of minutes, going slightly too bad for him to really recover a foothold in this and getting the initiative back while still being forced to counter push time and again before the enemy can get into an overwhelming arc around you. The cluster plane in the north finds another supplier, so it's not over yet, but he needs to get a couple of breaks in a row.
Yeah, the commandos now getting some kills here, destroying the BMRs, but revealing themselves to the C-12 HE bomber. But so far, FlyanRyan doesn't really have a proper defense around the back point of Alpha, but that defense could manifest itself pretty quickly. A lot of weapons teams, a lot of lot of ATGMs that are mobile and could move in to cover this reinforcement road. And now, as the AMX-30 just doesn't get too close to the Chasseur's LRAC, it can easily and safely remove these French incursions. Now, three infantry force being brought out by Mike to land and just try to push through that same field over the top once again, dear lads. There's a Lag 40 grenade launcher, a Hinete spotting, BMR recon with its 50 cal, and a Sub-Lear with all of its weaponry moving in to happily counter all of this. And they will be supported by the 3 AMX-10s and a single AMX-30, but with good enough, even with good control, I think that's probably gonna be pretty costly to attack.
Yeah, the Supplier though could be microed out by the AMX-30 plus the infantry if it fires and then the AMX-30B2 comes up and gets the shot whilst the Supplier is reloading. That could work out. It's not quite happening though. Ryan realizing that it is a bit too risky there, falling back. Aircraft can come in from both sides here. No real AA up just yet, and the F-18 with the AT comes in for the AMX-30. Does miss its first shot here. Firepower on the Hinetes will get them out there, so that is a good thing. Ooh, the Roland not able to get the hit there in return, but the Hinetes fall, so the AT plane doesn't see anything anymore. Jaguar HE coming in for the Sub-Lear. That might be what enables the push through here, but by now enough AA around. The C-11 gets one chasseur, so yeah, the Jaguar suicided once more for this push. It might just barely work out now, though, with the MX-10s and the MX-30, with the Sub-Lear damaged on the other side. There is still an ITO unit here, but that should be something that you can overcome with this force. You just have to really move quickly now before new reinforcements can arrive. It might be what brings Mike back into the +1 position. If Golf falls back, he still holds Delta. That means he would go back to a +1. 20 minutes still to play. Mike is about to stabilize the game. KT-wise, I still believe a bit behind, especially with the Jaguar that went just down and the enemy AT plane still around. But a couple of important kills and this could all swing around. So really good tenacity here from Mike. A couple of wrong taken fights in the north for sure, but a couple of really well chosen bomb drops with the cluster bombers, a couple of really well done flanking moves throughout the south and the center as well. So in the end here now, stabilizing the situation, and Ryan maybe overextending a couple too many times towards Echo, costing him this position in the north now. If they would have just stabilized around Gulf and then focus more on taking Bravo, the situation might look different.
Yeah, we see the smoke again. In the last game, Mike was using smoke so well, but it took 20 minutes for the first BAT PM81 to come in here, and they have cut off the Sub-Lear and cut off some of the Aspide Toledo recently, forcing the Sub-Lear now to push a little bit further up front. FlyanRyan is microing decently, but I think especially with the Grenadier Voltigeur Apilas and the great AT weapon ranges of French infantry, the getting a little bit more smoke and just allowing for infantry attacks against FlyanRyan's front lines. There are a lot of vulnerable units and not too many infantry units. The Fusilever C90, of course, are quite nice. 11-man squad is powerful on its own, but it doesn't have a machine gun. And it's, of course, vulnerable to be fired upon by any of the French fire support. French also have a bunch of 50 cals and 20 millimeters around. The Spanish really don't have 20 millimeters outside of their AT guns, AA guns.
Yeah, but the amount of grenade launchers and so on is still really helpful. The arrival of artillery, even mortar artillery, this late in the game shows you how heavy the attrition on both sides has been. And the support tool of choice obviously were the aircraft, and nothing else was really in the budget because both sides had to replace the constant losses. We see the first M110 now, and this map is actually pretty good for M110, so makes sense to get one, but you obviously usually want to get it a bit earlier at the 10-minute or 15-minute mark in the game. Now at the 25-minute mark, it has a bit less time to pay off. It still could do some great work here. AMX-30E playing a really good role here, stopping Mike from enveloping the northern flank completely and maybe even starting to endanger Foxtrot here. So FlyanRyan playing a pretty good defensive game here. Mike trying to push through now through the north, trying to use the momentum, gets Apprentice, gets an AMX-30B2, and that might make Ryan regret the M110 investment here, as he would have really liked 2 tanks now when this push is coming over the top. Ooh, Mirage Cluster gets another kill here, but does get taken out finally. So this is the moment where you have to go. The Cluster Bomber did its last hurrah, did swing the balance on the front line in your favor, but the general game balance of kills and losses down the other side. So this is the moment where you have to push your advantage to get the KD back up there. So, Mike, I believe this is now or never if you want to go to Foxtrot. The question is, do you want to go to Foxtrot? Because +1 already is enough, but I think it could work out quite easily here at this point. The forces of Ryan mostly reduced to AA in the north. Reinforcements are on the way, but they're not here yet. But it doesn't seem like Mike is moving. Mike, a bit too scared now. Obviously, the recon situation not great, and the M110 is starting to get good hits here. Apprentices and B2s have to disengage. The second B2 still around, gets some BMRs. They subleer, maybe overextending there a bit. Could get pushed by the 3 AMX-30s, but no push coming out of Mike. And the next 2 AMX-30s nearly on the front line now. 2 more on the way. So it seems like Ryan is stabilizing the north, and that is risky for Mike, because then Mike has to keep on holding the middle as well to keep up the points here.
Yeah, the M110 here, as long as the French stay still, is just going to keep on getting kills. Just the even the stress damage is quite important when your front line is being held up by few tanks. And FlyanRyan now has 3 quite similar tanks preparing to do some kind of an attack. Taking out one of them, and next second, already a little bit wounded, and as long as no cluster plane intervenes in this, stacking these AMX-30s together is pretty smart, because then they can just attack at the same time, and this means that Mike has to prepare for the defenses pretty well. Oh no, the Grenadier Voltage or Apilas, if they can't go further in with the Jinetes possibly spotting them, but also their weaponry is needed to stop those, at least one of those tanks.
Yeah, Kangaroo Fuma going down here as well. The MX-30s pushing forward. Nothing here is moving from Mike. Mike in trouble in the north again. Brings in reinforcements, but the MX-30s not moving at all there. It's weird. The Apilas not moving at all either. And the P4PC there just getting kind of fed to the enemy forces. It seems like Micro is going elsewhere on the map, but I'm not quite sure where it is. Okay, 2 MX-30s now on the from the middle. Hauled in towards the north. So recon situation here completely terrible by now for Mike. Likely not having any recon units left in the deck, because the attrition rate of the units that we saw throughout the game so far has been quite terrible. Both sides lose their CV in the north, but that stops the take here. Mike is slightly ahead in points, but not enough to get a victory out of this. So needs another take here to get ahead, and the Unite pushing down the 2 enemy AMX-30s here before the Apilas can come around. Apilas killing off the enemy AMX-30s as well, so both sides completely out of tanks now, directly in the zone. 2 more AMX-30s on both sides positioning here to get into position. The French ones are the weaker ones. They have the lower accuracy. Outside of that, they are equal in armor and penetration. But the 10% extra accuracy gives the Spanish the advantage on paper. So the Mike's forces here would like to get a couple of other advantages to really swing this around. The MX-10s here coming in do finish the job here. Voltage Apilas trying to get out alive. Puma Kangaroo has to be careful there as well. 3 AMX-30B2s now versus only 2 AMX-30 EM2s in the north. Situation. Oh, good shot there. Nearly getting the kill. Yeah, Mike is still under pressure in the north. Needs a new CV up north. That's another question. How many CVs are in both decks? Because CV attrition rate here has been pretty high, especially against Mike's forces as well. So with the push in the south coming in as well, with Ryan trying to create as many annoyances across the map, this is going to be a bit of a tough one. 2 MX-30B2 CVs come back to the battlefield, so there is still a bit more there, but the situation still not stabilized for Mike here at all.
Yeah, those two F-18 Hornet 80 planes just waiting, and especially in the south.
No, Mike is in trouble there. The 2 AMX-30s pushing him. The Prentice goes down. With that, Bravo is in deep trouble as well. And yeah, Mike getting punished for being so shy about the golf counter push. Leaves the initiative to Ryan, and Ryan is using it really well now. With the pressure still kept on in the north, forcing Mike to keep the reinforcements going in there, but slowly getting another pushback south. Still has a VC there in the enemy rear, getting the units that are coming in, and will get the +1 and about this, the +2 now back online. So this is terrible news for Mike. Mike now will need a push somewhere on the map, and that push might want to come north. He has the 3 MX-30B2s plus the leader there, which can give an extra level of veterancy to his forces, but he lost all the infantry now. All the chasseurs just ran into AMX-30 fire in the open field. Oh, this is just all looking relatively rough here again for Ryan. F-18's coming around. The Mirage trying its best to get their hands on it, but there is no ground support AA anymore. The Roland 3s all have gone down, and the F-18 AT GMs coming in here, pushing pressure, just stunning down the MX-30B2s. Already good enough here. Gets a kill there. Northern push of Mike, relatively unlikely. He brings in reinforcement infantry with Apilas. Oh no, the MX-30 Mando! Too close there. Will go down. The second EM2 runs into a Voltage Apilas as well. Is that the turnaround? The Apilas counter push here in the south, getting a lot of value. The wrong moment to move for Ryan. And there is nothing behind it. Well, there is 2 MX-30s behind us, but not a lot behind us. Did Ryan overstep here? Running into the forest, into the Apilas. Oh, this is the break that Mike might need it. But he once more needs to take advantage somewhere and needs to try to get an initiative going somewhere, as he is behind on points now. The tick is going up for the enemy. And the M10s, the planes in the sky, like, you need to get some more kills elsewhere. Otherwise, Ryan will still out-trade you here over time.
Yeah, there is still at least 2 leaders, one AMX-30 Mando and Santana Mando in the back middle. But so FlyanRyan does have certain survivability if the enemy overextends, and Mike seems to be, from looking at the orders and looking at the reinforcements especially, now Mike is going for alpha, and FlyanRyan has a AMX-30 in a nice position, taking out a chasseur squad and threatening a Roland, but there's a serious lack of recon in the south and southwest area for both players right now. And the tanks here are probably going to be able to get first shots off the defensive tanks, that is, and especially if any ATGM could be sent in this area, would probably perform really well, even without a standard recon component. Meanwhile, infantry reinforcements, Fusileros C90, are holding the northern crossroad. So, in the Jinetes even trying to drive into the zone, getting taken out by AMX-30s.
Yeah, so, Ryan seems to feel the pressure now. Instead of flanking around from the north, getting through the forest, taking the somewhat slower route, driving it in there, and just losses that he can't afford. So now setting up a push for the middle. MR10 out of ammo. That is a bit annoying right now at this moment, as a couple of MR10 salvos towards the center, taking out the 20 voltagear leader so that you can get rid of that. Would be really, really helpful. The push towards the middle here from Ryan is the right idea here, I believe, to swing this around, as they are in need of a bit more reinforcements for the south to stabilize, but they have enough forces, especially with 1 or 2 good hits of the MR10, to get a good job done in the middle. MX30 EM2 taking off, cutting off the reinforcement road in the towards the center as well, so that's a great position there for the ambush. And now the push needs to come, but yeah, situation here. HE Bomber will do the job against the Grenadier Voltageer. No! Oh! Only bombs the building! Doesn't realize that the Grenadier Voltageer did leave the building. Really well done by Mike. Knowing that it was spotted, moving it out there, expecting an M110 or bombing run like this. CV does survive there in the middle. The Fusileros go down as well. The MX30 EM2 Mando now pushing forward, but it will need to get rid of that Voltageer to actually get the point captured. 7 minutes to go. Mando getting in there. Zelkanon might spot the MX30 EM2, might allow the MX10 HOTS to get through and get the kill against the EM2. And yeah, the situation here in the middle, MR10 needs to get involved. Pegaso not coming around to re-arm it. The MR10 being unused by FlyanRyan in this critical area of the game where both sides have few units on the front line is really, really bad. Okay, now stops it, gets it around.
Yeah, the middle attack here seems to be where FlyanRyan is most concerned, but the Chasseur units are just in such a mean position where and the Dragon Paras are spotting everything here. The Chasseurs have amazing suppression and amazing range in their...
Oh no, the EM2 just didn't aim fast enough. It somehow had its turrets in another direction, so the Gazelle Hot, the MX10 Hot did get the kill there, with the Hot missile just coming out quick enough out of the rack. It went down for it, but freeing the reinforcement road towards the middle is such a critical moment right now, and Ryan is not fast enough to push here. No M10 hits on the support, no bombing runs right now. So he is not getting fast enough into the middle. He needs to get this faster, because he needs to hold the enemy forest line basically at the moment the reinforcements come back in here, but that's not the case. The MX30B2 and the MX10 Hot will make it there. So the situation there is in trouble. The southern flank still could be potentially pushed by Mike as well. The north likely is stabilized, but the M110 being silent for so long, and it actually is trying to get kills in the north instead of it supporting the middle. Out one. Ooh! Nearly getting the Mando as well. Infantry coming in with the counter push. This is not going well for Ryan in the middle at all. And it seems like Mike is finally stabilizing this whole situation. And with the big point lead that he got from the early game, from bringing CVs around, from the enemy going full lean attack, no CV, so that the enemy can get a tick up, is now, with the stabilization from the last couple of minutes, ahead far enough that he will get a victory out of this game. And it's now looking really grim for FlyanRyan to try to get this around. The MR10 being silent for so long, such a missed opportunity here that would have been really helpful. Like 2-3 MR10 salvos and the whole delta point would have been destabilized enough that push would have been easy for Ryan, but not reloading it fast enough, obviously with all the micro that was needed elsewhere, really leaves him down here now. And really well played by Mike. Tenacity throughout this game has been fantastic, and he has gotten it into a really, really comfortable position now.
Yeah, the FlyanRyan's reinforcements bringing out a recon AMX-30, but otherwise I think most of those have been spent now. Just a bunch of 40mm grenade launchers with 40mm grenade launcher transports, and driving them in and into position from which to infantry attack Delta. And that's not really that realistic anymore at this point. Under 4 minutes left here. The Mirages and the Tornado, the Mirages and the Hornets coming in for the last showdown.
Mirage goes down, but both AT planes are pushed back home. So they can't do anything against the MX-30s anymore. And
Yeah, well, still didn't get any. Is this like a 100% survivability rate for Hornets during this matchup?
I believe so,
Yeah.
because Hornets are just really hard to kill. And especially with French air-to-air missiles, which are terrible, but at the same time, the Mirages have done a really good job at pushing the enemies away. They are the way cheaper planes, so keeping the enemy planes out there, still a decent enough job done by the Mirages. And yeah, the center does hold 200 points ahead. Smoke coming up here again. So the CV tries to get back in, but as long as the Grenadier Voltigier stays in the center as well here for Mike, the capture for Ryan doesn't really matter. The MXL1 has done a decent job as well. The southern situation here is looking like Mike could just drive over it as well. Should maybe just start moving here down the south. And
yeah, down south there were few engagements with the tank opening fire on advancing infantry that kind of put Mike on a back foot, and Mike hasn't wanted to risk pushing that area. So it has been largely defended by ghosts, as I like to say. But FlyanRyan here going straight into enemy mortar and artillery fire in that old-fashioned corner smoke trick, and Fusileros just taking in 20mm rounds, trying to get to that commander. But artillery, open fire, and open fire against
the
the
Milan
AMX.
gets the Mando. The Mando goes down, and that's it for the center push here. The Milan 2 getting the kills. Will bring the Grenadier Voltigiers back there, and the Grenadier Voltigier micro there against the HE bomber. That saves Mike the center there till the end of the game. Ryan goes up in KD there with some air kills and so on, but Mike does do the job and does get the 1-1 trade here in the end. Really well-deserved victory for Mike. The game went pretty terrible in the early game, but they stuck in it and they got the grind out here, playing the right maneuvers. That really decisive battle in the southern point when the Apilas infantry came in. So important, but in the end, just really well played by both players throughout the series.
Yeah, it's amazing usage of especially the units, like the strengths that the Spanish have. The VEC-25s, fast, stealthy, and always doing good damage against soft targets. The VEC-25s were a constant issue, whether they be like pushing and kind of testing, moving from one tree line to another, but also in the back lines, intercepting helicopters and reinforcement, and just making the enemy more afraid, and having the French infantry and éclaireurs walk around.
It was at this moment that Nathan knew
or
he
secure
fucked up.
these reinforcement lines. At one point, the AMX-30 recon, getting two of them and pairing them with jinetes, it's still a recon rush, and recon rushes are inherently ineffective because you're paying extra for the recon traits, and you're also using your the slots from your infantry tab. But with like standard, like with good enough control early on, and knowing basically how to use that very early concentration of force, and knowing that the enemy is the worst thing that they can bring out are also AMX-30s, which you can then beat with your older generation, but still comparable tanks. All of that just played really well into and the ATGM play using the TOA ITOs to secure corners and do fire support. So many good details coming in here from the Spanish. But at the end, Mike just, especially Mike's infantry and kind of Mike's game sense also, recognizing the positions from where to push. But as you said, there were openings both north and south where just pushing forwards could have probably gained Mike an extra point or an extra zone that then would have been a real pain for FlyanRyan to actually get back into. But this when you're down so many units, taking those risks can be pretty difficult. I myself don't have that issue, but that is also why I don't have a great win-loss ratio. I always attack.
Yeah, and really really good show of why you should stick in games even if the opener doesn't quite work out. There's always a chance to grind back in as long as you hold a decent amount of forces and focus on the KD. And Mike did that to a decent part. A couple of the counterattacks obviously weren't always great, but they stuck with them. And yeah, they got a big swing there with that one in the south. And with Ryan maybe also just not quite forcing the center enough. in the earlier stages of the game. But they thought they could finish it off quickly. They tried to go for the +2 point with the big swing, tried to finish off the enemy there, and yeah, Mike just got enough out there and got the points in the end. GGVP, and we will see what these two players can do out of this draw in the long run. They seem to be pretty strong here. So yeah, Division 3 gonna be exciting, and we have more Division 3 games coming your way. So quick break, guys, and then we're gonna be back with the next series. Here we go. Series number 2 of the day. Mio versus Complex. And we are going to start here on the lovely map of Eiche. And we have Albion Duel afterwards. So 2 of the new maps coming up. And the matchup here in the first one being a cool one as well. We have seen CLKA doing a lot of work in 2v2 tournaments. And we have seen it coming up with the buff to its Leo 1 card and so on. In 1v1 play a bit more in the last season towards the end as well. And First Takeover has shown up a lot. Has been shown up a bit less since the Motos 12C nerf, but still quite a bit. And it's going to be interesting to see how these two play out here on the beautiful map of Eiche. As Eiche with the +2 point in the middle, a lot about the opener. Both of these maps, the divisions, not the strongest in the opener. So yeah, the forward deployment opener here from Mio seems to be really intense. But on the other side, we have a big T-72 plop coming in for that as well.
Yeah, so in this matchup for first tankowy, the Skupiny Chlopkového Průzkumu, the ships, as I usually call them, will have a forward deployment advantage. So they, alongside
they don't have forward deployment.
Oh wait, they don't. Well, they have a relative forward deployment advantage due to just being, special forces with the recon deployment. So they are going out there in pretty large numbers. And meanwhile, CLKA, which is generally considered to be kind of an anti-cheese division or an anti-forward deployment division, having the BO-105s with the miniguns, having a decent enough armed recon, such as the M113, and also we're seeing the Panzerwerkenders, but these are being brought out at 0 vet, so I really doubt their capacity to actually engage with the Czechoslovak special forces. With the M113 CNVs, they might be able to do that. Another excellent unit to kind of counter enemy cheeses is the OH-58C/S, the anti-air helicopter, absolutely in fashion right now, and also the ability to bring out the cheaper Leopard 1V. These are a little bit upgraded. They have 1 extra penetration. Otherwise, standard Leopard 1 tanks. So they can bring out the fight early on. But I'm a little bit concerned about the number of Panzerwerkenders here, especially the fact that these are 0 vet Panzerwerkenders. The weaponry, the Carl Gustav, everything is great, but it just can't hold itself in an actual infantry fight. The Czechoslovaks are bringing out a core of BMPs and T-72s, and they're just going to try to get to the 2-point zone. And there just doesn't seem to be enough in this very wide, very recon-heavy opener for CLKA to actually counter this.
Yep, and the game gets in here, but the big push in the middle here is going to be, as you said, really hard to stop. The BMP-1s, the T-72, there are little forces there that can actually deal with it. The Leo 1V has decent penetration, but it's not well enough armor to really deal with the E3s. It can be dealt with the Conqueror's missiles quite easily as well. So the Panzerwerkenners are key here. The Panzerwerkenners are key, especially in the anti-tank role. The Carl Gustavs need to get enough damage onto the enemy, or at least zone the enemy out enough, with the Recon infantry being dealt with by the M113s or so, that you then can stabilize a bit in the middle, maybe get some planes online, maybe get an early M110 online with CLK. That's one of the reasons why it is such an amazing division in team games, because it has M110s, it has Leo 2s. Me2 URP gets shut down in the north, so Mio gets the flank here. Me2 URP in the middle got shut down by the OH as well. Not a big fan of the Phantom investment next to the OHs, though. I feel like those 185 points will be missed on the ground.
Yeah, just 3 extra infantry squads somewhere, like support the Panzerwerkenners maybe, just like a single commando squad into Echo where you have the town, all of them could have worked out. The OSA and now the T-72s are getting up here, and the Panzerwerkenners are not really in a position to stop this. They are moving to kind of reveal themselves to the ships, and M113s are getting their shots off. But these 0 vet Leopard 1Vs are entering the zone, and they are going to be fighting on long ranges against completely superior tanks, 15 versus 9 armor, and that armor is most relevant on long ranges. And Panzerwehrknechts getting shot at already. They are not really able to hold.
Oh,
They need to have
RT,
differential engagements.
the RT might find the right PR in the middle. 2 misses. Is the last one a hit? Oh, Mio really fortunate with the CV there. The RT SHBZ revealing itself, but yeah, gets the key position there. Really unfortunate that 3 out of the 4 shots did miss there. Leo to a 4B running into the middle. That is the way how you deal with the T-72s here. That outclasses the T-72s by a good margin. Has the better accuracy. Has the 3 levels higher penetration on the main gun and an extra frontal armor. So with the Leo 1s behind it, it can tank the shots, and then the Leo 1s can assist with the finishing off of the enemy. But the Motostreltsy BMP T-72 blob is already starting to grind through the front line right now. Panzerwehrkenners, as you pointed out here, not that efficient in the fights right now. Stressed out, slowed down. The Motostreltsy is coming in now for the kill for the last one remaining. So Leo 2A4 will come into a position where Mio is on the back foot. Phantom going down to the coops here. Cluster Bomber coming in. Oh, does not get a drop off. The Ulsa does stop it and might even get a kill. Not quite, so that at least is a bit of a remaining hope. Leo 1Vs here getting involved into the fight. Leo 2A4 is on the front line, but it isn't engaging into the fight just yet. He's moving slowly forward now. A couple of T-72 kills here with the Leos, and the situation obviously could swing massively around. Gets a line of sight onto the first T-72 without the T-72 noticing. Ooh, nearly gets the kill. Down to 2 hit points there, as the Leos now are in range of the enemy infantry AT though, and that is not where you want to be. No infantry in front of it here for Mio. No one of the special forces infantry with the push, and yeah, the Panzerwehrkanner is just coming up in too high of a number most likely here for Mio. As you pointed out, like 1 or 2 less of those, maybe taking them at 1 vet, and then maybe 1 or 2 of the commando special forces infantry, and the situation here could look a bit different.
Yeah, this is they just needed an infantry front line. CLKA doesn't lack for good infantry, and especially not good infantry or decent infantry with great anti-tank weapons, with the Carl Gustavs. But unfortunately, this was not the case. I feel like it's such an incredible core issue here that even the Leopard 2s are brought out at 0 veterancy, meaning that when they gain cohesion damage, they are going to take 3 times longer regaining that cohesion compared to a veterancy 1 unit, and which means that they just can't really skirmish in the way that you would want them to. Second 0 vet Leopard coming in, this is unfortunately a Dutch militia here.
Yeah, taking both cards off the Leo 2A4 at 0 vet really is a mistake. 1 card at 0 vet so that you get a couple of more numbers for the later game makes sense, but the first card you need the cost efficiency, and you can't afford waiting for 3 minutes for the Leo 2A4 to get back to its combat efficiency here now. And the T-72S is here now on the flanks with the great ATGMs, taking apart the Leo 1Vs, the M113s. Mio is in trouble, trying to rotate around the flank, but the T-72Ss and the T-72 EM3 here now pushing hard onto it, getting a side shot, the worst nightmare of any Leo 2 user. And double artillery pieces is not the reinforcements that you needed here. Commandos now on the way, but they coming in at the moment where the infantry favorable terrain already has been pushed through by Crumblex, and all the space that is left in the center now is open terrain. And Mio maybe could have done work with pushes around the flanks, but that is not what we see here either. M113 in a fun ambush position was found by T-72 and gets finished off there as well. Commandos now trying to roll it in, but Leo 2A4B goes down in the middle as well.
This is a tragedy of the maximum scale.
Here.
Yeah, this is. I don't think there really is a front line left anymore. The cluster planes are going to be diving in, and they might get their bombs off, but there is 3 OSAs waiting for them after the bomb is dropped. The Puat Ito is.
It doesn't even get the bomb drop off. And OSAs get a hit, forcing it out. Ito, yeah, on the way into a BMP2 and a BMP1 here, without unloading. The HGM vehicles all go down as well, so it's only the commandos left and the artillery. Artillery trying to kill off the CV, but that's not the important unit here right now. Even if that goes down, that is not the end of the world here for Cromlex. But the northern flank here not really coming around, and yeah, the situation just deteriorating really, really quickly as once Bravo is breached, your whole reinforcement situation is in complete shambles on this map.
Yeah, at least we get to see how great the commandos are at engaging other infantry on longer ranges. Their 2 machine guns, the scope, and also the security trait, so they can spot this enemy infantry like way more reliably and keep their sights up. Just really, really quickly, just removing those two motor stealthy units on long range. And yeah, those guys should have been there in the front line. Like the Panzerwerkenners could have been there to kind of check around and then act in tandem with the commandos. The Panzerwerkenners could have used, given their better AT weapon and better spotting, act in tandem with the units that can actually hold the front line. And that's why CLKA is a great unit in countering full deployment aggro. It's not great at doing it. Even with the Panzerwerkenners, if this had been just a full-on recon rush properly executed and followed up by tanks, I still think it would have been inefficient against what the first Tankova could bring out. They could have sent in helicopters, of course. The OH-58s could have been able to deal with this. They could have just kept on building up BMP-1s and build a massive front line in which slowly the Leopard 1s could have been whittled away. So I kind of feel like this should have been a more concentrated helicopter and air-centered counter blob strategy, not trying to get onto Delta necessarily, but just trying to secure an entrance to the plateau and trying to force the T-72s to get into bad engagements. That whenever T-72 moves forward, it's either going to be shot at by a Carl Gustav or by a tow missile. And then when you dealt the damage, that's when your tanks move in and try to get the kill. CLKA is very good in this kind of gameplay, and could have also, like as we can see here, reliably secured both north and south. But yeah, needs a little bit of honing from Mio's part here, I think.
Yeah, the counter push here from Gromlex in the south. The artillery of Mio also came in at the wrong moment in time. Like, when your front line is crumbling, the least thing that you need is artillery. Artillery only works when both sides are somewhat stationary, so that you can pick off units that are standing still in front of you and that you can get reliable line of sight on. And yeah, the southern part of the map about to fall into shambles here as well. T-72s and Motor Streltsys pushing through there. The Panzerwerkenners pushed back. A couple of okay kills have happened lately, but the airplanes here not strong enough to push through the OSAs even after one was removed. There's still 2 of them remaining on the front line. There is another one in the south with Iglas, so airstrikes in the south won't really happen as well. The T-72S here getting hit. That is nice. Might allow the Leo 2A4 to come around and deal some damage, but yeah, the 0 veterancy on the Leo 2A4 really a problem, and especially compared when the other side brings their tanks out at 2 vet 72S, the cost efficiency just really, really different.
Yeah, the 2 vet has a 4 times the stress cohesion regain compared to the 0 vet tank, and this also affects significantly how long it's going to stay routed if it gets routed. And oh no, there's a motorcycle firing at the commandos. They don't get a shot off, unfortunately. The commandos and infantry is being brought out at veterancy 1, and they are going to mount a desperate defense of Echo somehow. Another cluster plane is up here with no actual there is an IHawk. So there is organic air defense here. Cluster plane does get a hit against the MiG-23.
Ooh, might get a double kill here. No, it doesn't miss completely. Oh, that is unfortunate. The MiG-23 goes down, but it does neither get the OSAR nor the T-72 there. The cluster area of these small bombs relatively small, and if you don't get a hit directly on target, then they won't do much. The commandos in the south, good reinforcements there, will stop the Motostreltsy push, but BMP2 already on the way. The Leo 1 might be able to help out, but for now the commandos here on their own did really hold off the Motostreltsy as well. Leo 2A4 coming around from the north might find the Osa. No, it doesn't, and yeah, you can't really see the difference here between the T-72S and the Leo 2A4B. The 2A4 hasn't gained any of its stress, and the T-72S already halfway there again to get back into the action, slowly regaining more and more, even though it was shot up way more than the Leo 2A4 was beforehand. And yeah, next Leo here immediately on normal cohesion as well after one hit. Does spot the enemy now, but does miss its shot here now too, because of the lower accuracy. The commandos get overwhelmed in the south now, and the BMP2s pushing forward, assisted by 2 T-72s as well. Leo 1V will be good enough to deal with BMP2s, but it won't be good enough to deal with the T-72Ss here. And the commandos in the middle, not back on the hill either. None of the T-72Ss dying in the north just yet is such a pain as well for Mio. And yeah, just if you bring everything at 0 vet, your game is not going to end up well. Like, it doesn't help you that you can go into an 80-minute games, because WARNO games don't go 80 minutes. This is not Steel Division 2, and even there you should bring veterancy on a good couple of your units. But the cost efficiency in the early game that veterancy gives you is so key, and if you just give that up, then you set yourself up for a uphill battle from the get-go, because every single one of your units then has to be used at the exact right moment for the exact right purpose, because otherwise they're just gonna get stressed out and that'll be combat inefficient for the next 5 minutes. And that's just not how you want to play WARNO. Like, most of your units should come at 1 vet. Even if you have your full deck on 1 vet, you usually have enough points to go through the whole game, and then you adjust from there. Important units that come at good availability at 2 vet, you take a 2 vet, and maybe a couple of units that you just want to spam out and use as a meat shield, you can bring at 0 vet to get a bit higher numbers and afford more units at 2 vet in another place.
Yeah, it's a good rule of thumb that I use is that even if I just play a standard division with nothing special, I put everything at 1 vet if I feel like I don't run out of it, and then I take 1 or 2 cards at veterancy 2 to use them as assault units. You know, if I need to get back into a town, for instance, might be nice to have a few infantry units that can outperform the other infantry units that the enemy is most likely bringing at veterancy 1. And every division benefits from that. Very, very rarely do games in the current meta of WARNO in 1v1 get into the point where people are running out of units. You know, it does happen, and those games tend to be really cool. But 10v10 and team gameplay kind of teaches people to have the numbers, because those are such build up and turtling based modes. People are scared.
Even there, you don't get more points. Like, the games go longer, but the income and the take rates are slower. So even there, you should not use the 0 vet units. Like, it might look like you should, but you also should use veterancy in 10v10 as well. That will get your KD and your win rate up. Obviously, as much as you can have an impact on the win rate in 10v10 over time there as well. Leo 2A4 getting the cluster run here, getting the kill. MiG-23 getting the kill there on the Leo 2A4B. And yeah, the next one already stressed out, already less combat efficient, and will stay like that for a long time once more. Like, we see a lot of Leo 2A4s, and those are nice tanks, but they are just not efficient here in this matchup. They haven't achieved anything in this matchup, and they are such a massive investment if you have to afford 8 of them, and likely 4 of them at 1 vet would have achieved more than the 8 of them at 0 vet will achieve in this game.
Yeah, 4th Division was banned by Complex, so maybe that's the reason why CLKA is being played, and CLKA is being played in the way that you would generally play a 4E instead of Panzerwerkeners. You would have the the KCT Wegener's and the satchel recon, and then you follow it up and you get your mass of leopard tanks. But so unfortunately, CLKA is an infantry division, and the strengths of it are many, but they are not the exact same as 4E. And yeah, I was mostly referencing the way that in 10v10 people start the games by immediately just fortifying. Everybody fortifies and starts bringing out everything, and then when the fighting happens, it's just numbers going against numbers, with the tactics kind of being overridden by masses of artillery and masses of aircraft. So I get that kind of an environment makes people feel like, oh well, I ran out of units already. Now I can't do anything. So then they're just down wet and down wet and down wet. But that's when you're in 1v1, of course, individual engagements are so much more important.
Yeah, the situation here keeps on getting worse for Mio. So stays in the game here, plays it out till the last second, but the T-72 is here now pushing forward. We have a +4. The Gulf Point should get captured relatively soon completely. CV that first moved in there got killed, but the Leo flank here on the side not working out. And yeah, the early game deployment already was not the most amazing here for Mio, and then the efficiency issue of the units just pushed on top of that. The individual engagements weren't that terrible, but when the enemy just has the more efficient units and Complex playing a really solid game, then the situation starts to become a pretty tough one. CLKA here now coming forward with more commandos, and the Leo 2A4 pushed through the middle, but there are just too many AT weapons here that will randomly shoot at the Leos for them to keep their combat efficiency up, especially against a deck that has the T-72S that can just fire those severe missiles at you to put some stress on you, even if they miss, and then follow that up with the T-72s pushing you down. The MP1s here putting the Leo already into red stress situation. The second fight here going decently well for the Leo, but +6 ends the game in 3 minutes, and there's just way too much red force on the battlefield.
Yeah, the just concentrated traditional tank blob opener. You get 2 BMP1s, 2 BMP2s, 2 T-72s, and some OSAs to cover them. And you get in behind your Special Forces Recon, and everything in Special Forces Recon spots the mech force kills. It is counterable. It's counterable, especially on the long term, if the opponent's player takes the side points and can build these large concaves in which filled with ATGMs and recon units and Carl Gustavs. But alas, that was not the case here. Instead, Mio invested into this quite bad recon opener, the recon follow-up to the recon rush opener, and yeah, then just the zero. If you're going to buy every single tank in zero vet, you should not play the division that you're playing, because at that point you're just playing a significantly worse version of a tank division.
Yeah, at that point you should just play 5th Panzer, for example, and let the Leo 2s with the 1 vet and high availability there. So yeah, we'll see how it will go for Mio in game number 2. The general deployment and so on here wasn't that bad. I think the engagements that they tried to take were fine. It's just really about the force composition here. So if they can find a better force composition in game number 2, I still believe they have a shot in this matchup. Like the unit movement and so on wasn't worse than what Chromblex has shown here. The question is just, can they get a better deck build here? And that really is the important part of League. You need to first have solid fundamentals in the gameplay. Second, have solid fundamentals in your deck build. And third, have solid fundamentals in the pick and ban. And yeah, in this matchup here, the pick and ban was fine in my eyes. First Tankova is beatable with the LKA, with the better artillery, with the heavier tanks. The micro was fine as well, but the fundamental of the deck build here let Mio down, and with that, Complex taking map number 1. Let's see how that balance will go in game number 2, where we will have a pretty interesting matchup as well. 5th Panzer, they're showing up for Mio, so more Leo 2s, hopefully with veterancy against 2nd UK infantry. So Albion Duel is the map. That's a map where forward deployment can take key points, but also where tanks can just completely dominate the later stage of the game. So a really interesting matchup there coming up for us. And yep, Albion Duel, also a map that we haven't seen that much yet in the WARNO League, so I'm pretty excited for that reason as well. And here we go, game number 2. Albion airbase coming around. French nuclear weapons up for grabs. And we have an interesting matchup here as well. But before we jump in, quick shout out once more to the Matcherino page, where you can support the prize pool of the tournament. And you can even do it for free by clicking the claim code button up here, adding 25 cents to the prize pool. You can also contribute directly. Big shout out to everybody who already did, like Griffin65 here, for example, coming in with $25. And big thanks to everybody who clicked the claim code button, as we still have 6 codes remaining. So all you have to do is click on the link in the chat right now and click on the claim code button, and 25 cents in show coming in here as the last one to do so. Much appreciated. And yeah, thanks to all of you for the support. If you want to support this outside of it, obviously leave a like down below in the YouTube one, helping out with the algorithm. And yeah, subscription, channel memberships, and so on go a long way as well. Turned off ad blockers as well. So let's see what we're gonna get out of this here. Mio versus Gromdex, and let's get into the action. And also, don't forget to follow Chloride over at his channel if you want to have more WARNO Twitch action in your life, as Chloride is back into the streaming game as well.
Yeah, we've been getting back into, I was playing a lot of 19th and failing, and now I'm getting into Canadians and winning and turning my enemies into raging balls of hatred, which is generally what happens when people face the Canadian air opener. But speaking of openers that turn people into raging red balls of hatred, 5 SAS are coming out, a wide SAS opener. And now, Protoss, this is one of the oldest tricks in the book, literally, because Second UK has been in the game for such a long time, and SAS have been a top unit at every point since their introduction. And the weakness is that a SAS unit is 100 points, and the transport is 20, which is nice. But if you're taking just 5 of them, you are using 600 points, which is the out of a 1,500 point opener, significant number of points. Now, the SAS pay themselves back by being great and having 4 Stinger missiles, which means that they can, with their veterancy, they are excellent anti-air. They can turn into long-term anti-air value if you keep them alive. And their only weakness really is that they just can't engage vehicles outside of 700-meter range. So if you can have just any light infantry transport, maneuver them into position, you can bag yourself 100 points of kill. Following this up is a light helicopter force with air mobiles, a single ATGM car, and 2 Phantom fighters. And these Phantoms are the ones that don't have guns, but trade also have great, excellent AA missiles. They are the cost of an older generation plane because of their lack of guns and pretty bad ECM as well. Now, Mio opening with 5th Panzer is doing a lot of recon, but also has a concentrated and meta-approved Leopard 1 opener with high veterancy and up-vetted, working with a Roland 3 that is defending them from cluster bomb strikes, with the Fernspurs, Jäger Aufklärers, and Luxus kind of trying to screen. So it seems like this is going to be just a relatively standard push into Foxtrot. And when you're in Foxtrot, you basically, from those positions, can start threatening the 2-point zone at Golf as well. And there's also the Fuchs Milan is actually deploying into the enemy back zone. So I'm really excited to see what's happening with that.
Yeah, and that really negates the heavy investment into SAS that Cromlex has put into the north. Delta and Echo, something that you can't really contest that 5th Panzer early game. You can maybe do so with bombers and artillery later in the stage, and enough fire support. So right choice here for the southern push from Mio, and the heavy investment into fast deployable and forward deployable units here of Cromlex, just meaning that Cromlex has no long-range fire support units here. The Lynx is an extra cost because you pay 45 points for that transport. Yes, you can sell it, but in the deployment, that leaves you down a bit of combat force. The Airmobile recon is a bit extra. The SAS cost you extra for the forward deployment, for the special forces and all. And all of that can't really deal with a layer 1. So if Mio now sets up the push towards Foxtrot, there's basically nothing that can stop him. But the issue is, Mio is not doing that. Mio is rotating towards the center, where the SAS and the Airmobile with the Carl Gustavs are in a potential spot to kill that. Mio really should put up more pressure towards the south, but is a bit too shy for that right now. The Fuchs Milan going all the way around the way now, and the Rover Milan's having time, the Milan 2s in the north having time as well, and Cromlex gets away with the +1 here that they will get out of the center zone that is Delta in the north, that is supposed to be the contested zone in the middle. And without the push towards Foxtrot and Golf, Mio really giving the enemy way more time than they deserve here for setting up a defense.
Yeah, those 2 Phantoms, first of all, nobody is going to open air against you if you're playing second UK, because you're going to have SAS, and the SAS, at least the number of the SAS need to be understood before any enemy is opening with fighters. And so if you want to have a single Phantom, that's cool if you're expecting something, but 5th Panzer is not going to be opening with air anyways, outside of maybe...
the layer 1A1's now moving, but there is now the 2 extra rovers, and the smoke comes out a bit late. Leo's now trying to get the engagement, but Pioneer Carl Gustav with Airmobile Pioneers with the Carl Gustav coming up from the rear. Get a shot, get a hit. Leos with the Jaeger and the Fernspur support likely going to be able to deal with this now, but the Rover Milans just came in time now, as Mio didn't push hard enough, didn't quite understood how little there was on the enemy side of things. And obviously it's a lot easier from our perspective, where we see how much Cromlex invested into the air, how much Cromlex invested into the SAS. Mio didn't see how much there was in the north, didn't see that there was 4 SAS going there, so they likely expected more forces in the south, but they, with the investment that they have put into the south, with their knowledge that they won't win the north early on, they still should have at least tried to get deeper in the south than they tried here with their first push.
Yeah, it really is the mistake of opening with that much air and not having the proper ground force there was mitigated by Mio just playing just a little bit too passive. Those first pairs could still walk forwards, and there's barely anything that could open fire on them. And also, Rover Milans fire fast and only have 4 missiles. Unlikely that the enemy is going to have supply. You can also kind of try to juke that away using your Luxus and your Fuchses, that all of them do have smoke. You can get them to fire pretty quickly. Now, Kromplek is bringing out the first challenger, and this is a Veteran C1 challenger, and it's technologically completely superior to Leopard 1s. We'll be able to fight them off. And Mio here is instead investing into artillery, 2 M109 A3G A1s and a Panzermörser for smoke duty. And the Panzermörser is probably going to be very excellent, and just opening with a Panzermörser is also nice if you're doing mech aggro, because that means that you can smoke off your enemy ATG amps and engage them at your own will. The 2-0...
Oh, but 2 Foxes coming in for the rear push. That might get the M09s. There is no protection outside of that 1 Milan 2, which likely is going to get overrun here. Leo 1 or Lux need to rotate south. Yeah, okay, Leo 1 is rotating south. That is a good reaction from Mio. Gets all the Rover Milans by now cleared out, so that will allow an easier push later on in the game. Brombeck's losing a lot of his Tyrion, his forces that can stop the Leos later with the Rovers going down. Those are really important kill. SAS overstepping in the south as well. That is a big loss to your air defense here in the south as well, once they go down, and there are good bombers in 5th Panzer, so that would be a nice kill as well, and obviously good fighting power in the SAS in general too. So Mio here with some decent kills. The Foxes are scary though. One of the Fox goes really deep now. M109 aiming for the first time on good targets in the north, Milan 2 in an SAS position, so Mio could play this in the long run, but the double challenger here, a really annoying unit to deal with now as well. Fox versus BO-105. BO-105 trying to get its missile out. Fox just driving on top of it, not standing still. So it is less accurate. BO-105 gets the stun. Should get the kill here with the second shot. Yes, does so. So good kills there. Big artillery play here on both sides. Ooh, the Fuchs Milan trying to go for the kill, but the next challenger already on the way out. Likely will get the Fuchs Milan killed. In unfortunate timing there for Mio. Good idea there with the kill idea against the M107, but yeah, this triple challenger play here from Grombeck's a really interesting one. I'm not sure if it's a good one because there's no support for these challengers outside of a bit of infantry still in that forest.
Yeah, and also the fact that the challengers will lose against the Leopard 2A4C.
Oh, side shot! Getting the first challenger already down to half hit point. Leo 185 doing a fantastic job there. Good recon thanks to the Fanspeer. Doing a job. Warrior nearly going down as well to the Leo 185. The Veteran C on those now doing a good job there. And 109's aiming for the challenger position. Romblex is keeping them rotating. Jaguar cluster goes down to the roll on 3s. Yeah, Mio now has found the combined arms play that they wanted to set up last game and is now playing a really completely different game to how it went in the last one.
Yeah. Challenger gets the killing shot, but both of those challengers are now wounded with the supply long ways off. And actually, the supply is routed well, but it is still long ways off. And yeah, at this point, if Mio has been keeping up how much damage they've been doing and how many challengers and planes the enemy has, the infantry should probably start moving forwards. And as I say this, the Panzergrenadier M113 is actually trying to take a little bit of ground. I would hope to see the Jaeger Aufklärer and the Milans also following this trend. And now with the Leopard 2A4C behind them, a second Leopard 2A4C with supply, a third Leopard 4AC. Wow, it was floating some points. And the Panzermörser there to provide immediate, quick smoke support if the enemy ambushes you. This would be a pretty nice place to go. Meanwhile, Kromplex is trying to attack with mechanized infantry the middle, which I don't think is the choice. The Pioneers are not. They are a decent enough counter for these armored rifles, so this is just going to be an offensive stalemate for Kromplex, and this is the area where the enemy can easily reinforce troops, and the enemy also has a bunch of artillery around here, now punishing some of those SAS units, forcing them to move back. Fernspare here paying off really well, the recon.
M109s being used against the SAS, that's the way you want to do it. Then you can really go rampage with the tornadoes in the late game once those SAS are all down. Fernspare finding the sniper there, allowing the Leo 2A4C to push forward. And the Challenger is just not a challenge for these Leo 2A4Cs. It has the lower accuracy gun, it has the lower penetration gun, it has lower rate of fire on that gun as well. So the Leo 2A4C, also being the way more agile tank, can decide when the engagement happens, and that makes the life of the Challenger Mark II here really, really uncomfortable. The M109 now taking aim on a Milan 2 position. Every ATGM that you take out is such a massive win for your late game pushing power here. And the +1 currently, yes, that happens, but as 5th Panzer, you're used to that. This is not a problem. This is not a real challenge in the long game. That's 40 points per minute. That still is a long way out from anywhere of a threatening level. And there is a +2 point on this map that is pushable with Golf. So a situation with that could really help out Mio here. And Crumblex really needs to get a better handle on how to deal with these layer 2s. And I'm not quite sure how that can happen. The M107, maybe with some counter battery or so, could start to get that situation at least under control, but that's not happening. And the M109 is now even finding some hits against the Challenger. So I believe that's the go commando for the 3 Leo 2A4Cs to actually get into combat. Yeah, the southern one already pushing through the forest. The Panzer Grenadiers, as you said, really well done with the movement there. Pushed a bit deeper already. Can push into the next 3 lines soon. And then you are already on Foxtrot, basically. And once that happens, I think this game is kind of over for Complex.
Yeah, it's the challengers are going to be forced into counterattacking the leopards who are going to be in the tree lines, and the leopards are going to be supported by Milans and probably going to have better recon as well. The challengers, as you said, are just too slow, and they don't have the penetrative capacity to fight the leopards. And speed in this game, as in real life, is very, very important because speed equals survivability. Speed is also the speed in which the tanks automatically turn their front armor against the incoming enemy munitions. It also means if they can escape artillery, if they can escape the bad engagements or incoming ATGMs. And all of this is just really, really, really important in practice. And that's why I have been a challenger hater since the very beginning.
Yeah, they have become relatively combat efficient nowadays, but they are still not as good as the baseline stats on the first look make them appear.
Look at that side shot coming in from the Leopard 2A4C in the Challenger. Oh, that was painful to look at, despite being the hater.
And another Leo 2A4C here rolling up to the front line. And that means we have all 4 on the front line. We have Pioneer Carl Gustavs coming up, and that is the exact same amount of challengers that can come out on the other side. So Leo 2A4Cs just being the way superior tank there makes that quite easy. Rover CP here trying to go on into the enemy zone with some smoke play here. Crumblex realizing that they need more points if they want to have a chance of getting this game going. A +1 not gonna get them all the way through. So that Rover CP micro is pretty clever. The M109s on the other side are currently targeting the mortar teams. That makes sense for a long game as well. And the Jägeraufklärer gets the Rover CP +2.
Nope, the first pair got it.
Okay. Oh yeah, right. That was the angle where it was open. Yeah, and the CP already pushing it back. Milan 2 setting it all up. The M577 getting back into it, and yeah, Mio just now needs to pull the trigger, and this game likely is going to be over if they don't completely miss Margaret. Currently investing into a lot of infantry towards the north. I believe they just need to finish off Golf and Foxtrot. They don't even need to do much at Alpha, but I guess they're just a bit worried about a bigger infantry push there, so playing it a bit more defensively. They have the time, 26 minutes. You can do a lot of things there, and as they're getting further and further ahead in the trades currently, they just don't need to do anything spectacular just yet. Pioneer Carl Gustav pushing the infantry out in the middle, getting the Saxons killed there. Leo 1A1 going down in the north, that's annoying. M109s finding shots against the next Milan 2 though, and yeah, eventually you just don't have any anti-tank left in second UK. You can keep it up usually for 25-30 minutes, but the last 10 to 15 minutes as second UK can often be really, really rough, especially if you're not ahead by a decent amount of points, and that's just not the case here.
Yeah, this Milan 2 and Rover Milan already holding the back right point of Foxtrot, and this is the moment now with the rest of the infantry is moving in here. But as long as there is no dedicated recon units, the Jaeger Aufklärers are still holding back. But just with the infantry moving forwards and being able to just spot them slowly, being able to take ground might just force the Milans even to escape. Yeah, Link's air mobile scouts, which are excellent anti-infantry units with 4 machine guns, they are being deployed by a helicopter, followed up by some Link's hell arms. But at this point, this hasty defense is probably going to be a little bit too late. Of course, Mio's attack could have happened way earlier and could have just completely taken this out. I think this might be one of those things that just you recognize the differences between Division 3 and Division 2 or 1 games, in which Division 2 and Division 1 players tend to be confident enough to just keep going forwards and kind of test the ground, whereas the Division 3 players here, we see both of them kind of want to get in the right combination. They want to be really sure about it, and yeah, here we go. Immediately when the first units are spotted by the Milan 2, realizing that the attack is there, Crumplex taps out.
Yeah, Crumplex also realizing that the northern infantry just got through to his mortars and so on, and he would have crumbled there in the north as well. All the ATGMs down there, only 2 SAS units to leave it open. And yeah, Mio really showing what kind of game they want to play and what the game plan for game number 1 basically was as well. They crumbled a bit too quick there in front of Crumplex in that one, but in this game they got the setup that they wanted, and then they just showed that they are really, really decent combat arms player once everything is online. And yeah, just need to play with a bit more veterancy on their early game units next time, and then I believe CKA will work out better for them as well. In the end here, a really fair 1-1 in the end. Both players dominated one game, and with that, the tie in the end absolutely justified. Well done by Mio here in the game number 2, not getting themselves shocked after that game 1 loss and really sticking with it, with the game plan, realizing that second UK just can't do it in the long game, and just grinding it out with 5th Panzer like you need to.
Yeah, this is 5th Panzer really showing how just standard decent tank play and mech play fundamentals can work out against this kind of wide range aggro. Maybe on some other maps, the SAS could have all stacked together and started forcing engagements right from the start. But on the Albion, the SAS were still relatively defensive. And yeah, as you said, the complete lack of fire support, which came on the backs of opening with those 2 fighters. Personally, I would have opened with the fire support, and then if the enemy had planes out, I would, in the 2nd and 3rd minutes, start buying those fighters. That's a pretty important thing. Remember, fighter deployment in the opener is not really that necessary unless you really need to protect your units right at that moment. Because those fighters are deployed in seconds, whereas all the other units are deployed in minutes.
Yeah, and the job well done here in the end, leaving it with a quick 1-1 and leaving us with the next series. So, quick break, guys, and we're gonna be back with the final series of the day from Division 3 once more. And that brings us to the first game of Stoneware that we cast this season, with Joker Dudaya versus Apple Cider coming up here, and a matchup of two powerful divisions here. The 4th Division, the 2025 Dominator versus 79th, the Dominator of 2022, 2023, 2024, not 2025, but likely 2026 again. And Stoneware here, first map. Second map, Omen with 16th Panzer Division versus 6 US Infantry. Going to be a really interesting matchup as well. And yep, this matchup here, Layer 2 Powerhouse together with good artillery and solid Dutch infantry versus 79th that brings in a solid recon opener with Spetsnaz GRU plus the BMPs, plus a good amount of high quality BMP2 infantry, solid AA setup, great Su-24 cluster bombers, and the TADPV family in its fullest, including the IZD. So this should be an interesting one, and that setup here from the Apple Cider is a really interesting one as well. Not what we usually see on this map.
Yeah, this is a full-on old-school blob opener, where the point of the opener is to give a combination of units, often AA, the ATGMs, even the mortar here to do smoke, and to basically act as a landing pad for the T-80, so that everything required for the T-80s to start attacking is out there in the opener, and then, you just start the printer and the printer says burr. And generally you would even have a single tank to start out here with, but Apple Cider has chosen not to do that, instead kind of deploying relatively defensively, not trying to even get into Bravo, just waiting for the pretty expected Dutch recon opener. The KCT Wegener's are pretty decent in getting good positions, and they're actually going to be in a nice corner from which they can move through those three lines and start spotting the enemy southern flank. N113 CNVs, of course, can catch out enemy transports if you drive in too deep, but they are also going to follow the KCT Wegener's, and basically there is going to be the build-up on the right side of Bravo, between Bravo and Echo, and then there is going to be an immediate tank opener in the southwest of that area. So whenever those KCT Wegener's and those M113 spot something, the Leopard 2 and Leopard 1 go in and get in for the kill. The Dutch opener is way more standard and is also going to just capture Charlie, and that is the advantage of not playing the blob strategy right from the start. The weakness of the blob, of course, is that on many maps you can stretch the blob. You can fight on secondary fronts and prevent the enemy from efficiently using the blob. The way to defeat the blob is to not fight the blob on the blob's terms. And if Dudayev's opener fails and the blob can start growing here, I would expect Dudayev to start immediately trying to siege Foxtrot, which is the northeastern back point.
Yeah. Push here coming in already. Situation in the north is going to look pretty interesting there. The BRDM Conquerors is going to an interesting little spot there as well. I would have expected slight different positions, but I like Stoneware for the engagements. I don't like it for the zones. The zones are a bit odd, but the fights that you can have on this map, with the middle being relatively open, the north being really good for infantry pushes through the forests, good town fights, with Charlie and Bravo being different kind of town fights as well, and then the south being weirdly annoying with the flanking maneuvers that you can pull there. I like the map from the fights. I'm not sure if it's the most balanced. I'm not sure if it's the most fun to play on, but it is for sure an interesting and different one for the matchups, and I'm happy to see it here showing up in League a bit as well, as Coops here getting kill on the BO-105, but that BO-105 should have seen quite a lot of this push through the middle, so Dudayev should know the basics of what is going on. Meanwhile, Apple Cider pushing up the Mi-8 MTA through the north, gets it a bit too close to one of the M113s, and likely gonna get it shut down. Desperately trying to run out. Actually, M113 blocked by the buildings there. Does the Mi-8 make it out? Good last second reaction there from Apple Cider, keeping that alive. The Mi-8 is an important warning system to figure out when the enemy is coming for Foxtrot, so keeping that alive. Really key. M113's trying to push deep in the south, get checked by the BMP-2 there. But both of them pushing on now, and with 2 of their autocannons, it might work out here. They don't stay stationary though. The M113 keep on moving, and their motion accuracy is terrible, so in the end, both get checked by the BMP-2. Big W for the BMP-2 and the flank here of Apple Cider. That is secure now. Leo 2A4 is now trying to check the middle. No tanks on the side of Apple Cider, so the Leo 2A4, if it gets into gun range, will bully the BMP-2s if it has line of sight. Currently, it has no line of sight though, and the Leo 1NL gets side-shotted by a Conquerors. Scary situation here for Dudayev. A lot of potential for big damage, but currently also a lot of potential for disasters, and one of them currently coming up with the Conquerors firing onto the Leo 2A4C. Gets hit once frontally. That's not a big problem, but it is stressed out. Has to fall back. M113 being smoked off here. Apple Cider using that smoke really, really well.
Yeah, this is like Apple Cider here. When Apple Cider spotted the Spetsnaz GRU spotted the Leos at the same time as the Leos kind of KCT Verken started fighting with them, and that was when immediately like units were microed, especially the BMPs and the Motostrelki here going down this tree line. Then
Apple Cider last second saving the mortar here, maybe? No, okay, it gets shut down by the second round, the transport going down. That was nearly a last second save there, but yeah, the 155mm investment here, good by Dudayev, can be doing a lot of work all across the map here. Aiming for the Plamia here, good choice as well. Mi-24V is a big problem, but there is a cheetah in a great spot. Oh, that cheetah positioning is clutch right now. That Mi-24 is in a lot of danger. It's just a bit too close. It gets shut down. Cheetah could smoke. Cheetah's not smoking in time. Ooh, the BMP-2 with the Conquerors does miss. And the Leo 2A4 still alive. Oh no, it's so side armor to the BMP-2 Recon. Oh, another miss here. Dudayev with lucky RNG there twice in a row. Cheetah and Leo 2A4 do survive. Needs to be really, really careful. This Leo 2A4C is not allowed to go down. Now gets 2 more Leo 2s up. The Mi-24 going down is a problem here. Apple Cider still playing this completely without tanks. Has a BRDM Conquers behind enemy lines, but not yet getting any kills out of it. And the Nuntres here rotating into the center. Recon by now has assembled a bit. Okay, there's the first IZD. Gets a hit against the Leo 1NL. Leo 2A4s, 3 of them on the battlefield now though. And the Mi-24 number 2 here coming around. Once more getting relatively close to the Cheetah. Leo 2A4 knows about the BMP-2 in the south, can push that one now. A really, really important and interesting early game here. Whilst the Conquerors still trying to go for some ambushes here in the enemy rear. Nothing there to stop it. The 155mm doesn't have direct fire capabilities. But if the Conquerors gets too close, it also can't shoot at it. So this could be an interesting little matchup there.
Yeah, this so far the blob has kind of spread itself away from the Leopard attack and managing to stop that push, and with only KCT Verkeners kind of keeping the options of the Leopards here alive. I think this is an excellent situation for Dudayev largely, like the ability to just penetrate here on the area north of this pond here or this lake. It is the momentum is absolutely with 79th. And losing the Mi-24 was pretty bad, but the second Mi-24 is not making this mistake. There's a single
IHawk under attack by the Conquerors. Gets shut down there.
Oh,
no recon around just yet here. The BRDM Conquerors. We saw that yesterday in Division 4. These can be absolute menace in the enemy rear. The Leo 2A4C likely not able to spot it on its own. The Stinger team is the next one to fall down here. The artillery piece got microed away well by Dudayev, but now this is an annoying little situation here. BO105 able to spot it relatively easily now, so the Leos hopefully can find the kill there. Yeah, finds an aim time, finds the kill, but the Conqueror is still paying off big time. New IHawk needs to be brought forward. You can't play the Leo 2s without the Ihawk against an enemy deck with those amazing SU-24s. So Ihawk replacement, next big investment.
Protoss up north, the Spetsnaz GRU have spotted units, spotted the TOW and spotted the Natres. So the Mi-24 flew in there, but the Mi-24 got under small arms fire and is getting pushed away now, with the Cheetah finally getting a salvo, and that was really goes. If that Spetsnaz would have moved just a little bit further in, it could have eliminated the entire infantry front line there on its own. With its rockets and cannon, but now BRDM is moving there after a little bit of a scuffed engagement where the Motostrelki are not in a fighting position right now. So a little bit of a slowing down for Applesider's engagement here, not happening perfectly. Meanwhile, the blob is still growing with BRMs, Coups, and another fighter plane. With 3 Coups, that is enough to threaten even the best planes in the game.
Leo 2A4 is now pushing onto the T-80BVs though, and there is a Leo 2A4 with a flanking opportunity here, trying to push through the smoke. Oh, these T-80BVs are not in the perfect spot, showing side armor. Can the Leo 2A4 get the aim off? Can it get the shot off? Yeah, this can! First kill here on tank action going to Dudayev. And that is a big swing here. Now the Leo 2A4s smell the blood in the water, pushing deeper. There are enough ATGMs here to make it a bit annoying for them. The 155mm artillery piece did get some fire onto some infantry, but not quite the targets that it needed to get. The smoke mortar play here from Applesider once more really, really strong. As the Leo 2A4s forced to retreat. The Leo 1NL in the north has done a really solid job throughout this game as well. Conquerors and BMP2 most likely too much now, and you finally get the kill there. YPR engaging here from the side, but the BRDM Conquerors doing its job, and yeah, Dudayev has to be careful to not lose too much to another one of those BRDMs here once more. Artillery pieces in the south have been silent for a bit now. Acacia coming around on the other side, as the Dudayev frontline in the north is working out well in Charlie, but no tick for Dudayev currently, as they haven't pushed towards Foxtrot yet. And with that, the 300-point lead is nice, but their situation in front of Alpha is somewhat fragile, and Applesider can swing either north or south with their forces. So Dudayev in a bit of a weaker position when it comes to the initiative right now.
Yeah, there's Dudayev really is this Bravo when fortified and with the Rasvedka BMP holding the flank is a very defensible position here with the lake basically forcing them to push into this concave where the north flank is held by Spetsnaz GRU.
Okay, 155mm lucky there, did load back up but didn't move, but luckily at first the artillery just landed slightly off target. And yep, 155mm here working out well, as the Mi-8 MTAs coming around. Acacia trying to get some hits on the Leo 2A4s. Both sides here playing a really slow game now and setting up more and more forces onto the front line. Acacia getting a fire off. Leo 2A4B coming into the north. So too not really having the line of sights. There are a lot of annoying line of sight breakers here all around. MOR-10 now arriving for Dudayev. So yeah, that's what I was talking about. 4th Division with the 155mm as a really cost-efficient early game artillery piece, and the MOR-10 as the like the mother of all artillery pieces in the late game. Just able to dominate the long fire fights, and both sides here know where the enemy is for good parts. So this artillery will likely is going to be able to get a lot of good shots off.
Yeah, but Protoss, do you feel like when you look at these tank forces in the south part of the lake and the east part of Bravo, would it not kind of make sense, to just attack the Bravo from the west instead of just driving into this without any infantry presence in Bravo? I feel like Dudayev's attacks are just gonna be a little bit inefficient. They are attacking the strongest point of the enemy and are kind of locked into this locked into this operation that didn't achieve what it was supposed to early on, partly because of that Raspetka BMP which was just pushed away. The concave potential is just too massiff, and with the forces
but
far away.
I think the game plan here is just M110 now. Like, yes, that does, and that all is true. You can't push there right now, but what you can do with these tanks is constantly force the enemy to reveal themselves, and then you put an M110 like right now on the two Fagot teams, and then those two Fagot teams are going to be gone. First shot, cluster plane coming in from the side here, getting a T80BV IZD killed off as well, so that's the trades that you want. Yes, the F-16C cluster goes down, but tank down, two Fagot teams down, M110 can do it again. The northern point has been reinforced so much with Dudayev not getting into Foxtrot, so really centered around this point that it currently is unbreachable as well without good bombs or artillery. So Applesider currently stuck 300 points behind. Like, Dudayev seemingly doesn't want to play the long stretch here, so just doesn't want to risk any direct fights, just wants to use bombs over and artillery, and do it with this position and force Applesider to eventually push them, and then pushing into Leo 2A4s is just really uncomfortable.
Yeah, the Naturals with the military police Maréchaussée here are putting up a defense, but these are upvetted Saperi RPOs here with the BRDM following. The F-16 HE might be able to do something here with that corner, but the three Coups are more than likely to take it out. Now, my issue with both of these players is that neither of their mech is out there supporting their actual fights. Now, Dudayev is pushing up forwards, and if Dudayev actually ended up destroying those Spetsnaz GRUs, that would be massive. So much of the damage and stress in these units comes from them being constantly spotted by the Spetsnaz, and now with the second wave of smokes coming in for Dudayev, still smoking off that one corner. Not a lot of assault troops here, only two guys of Panzerinfanterie and a machine gun team. But theoretically, there are engineers, even the Genie work units that could just go in there and be very good frontal screening for these tanks. Instead, we have an M113 CNV with a very good optics, though.
Yeah, Spetsnaz GRUs revealing themselves now, will get annihilated in a second. HE Bomber trying to go into the wrong part of town. But yeah, the Northern Infantry, the Nantres, the MG teams and so on, getting the corner back. Not a lot of tick achieved there by Applesider. And the Spetsnaz GRU, first one taken out. Second one still around. MG team is pushing closer though. M113 revealing them now. And with that, the firepower onto the unit, forcing it to fall back. Leo 2A4s haven't gone down at all yet. One is checking out the BMP2 in the south. KCT Vercanners in a fantastic place, revealing anything that happens between Echo and Charlie in the southern part of the map. M110 now aiming for more destruction, and once the second M110 comes out here, then this life will become even more uncomfortable for Applesider. So this game plan here from Dudayev absolutely makes sense. Like, you don't want to overextend with 4th Division. It is a relatively fragile combined arms. You need your tanks as anti-tank. You don't have the luxury of BMP2s that the other side does. Oh, one Leo 2A4 here, overextending a bit. Recon BMP2 goes down, but engine destroyed. Leo 1NL getting involved. The other Leo 2A4B in the south still stuck as the Leo 2A4C tries to push up. The ADBVs smoke off. Good couple of BMP2s here taken out. Another one likely to fall here in a split second, yes. But the engine destroyed Leo 2A4B there has no real chance of evacuating. The Acacia likely gonna get it, but there comes the Leo 2A4 from the south. Gets another shot towards the TADBVs. They need to evacuate. Recon BMP2 had to fall back as well, and the situation here is looking really, really rough now for Applesider. The Bravo point basically up for grabs now for Dudayev, and yeah, I like the game plan here from Dudayev. Playing the long game with the better tank and the better artillery piece makes perfect sense, and just keeping the block checked. And I am a bit surprised that they didn't try to go for Foxtrot, but with the strong defense of Charlie, they kind of achieve what they want to as well.
Yeah, so right now Dudayev has recon supremacy. Applesider basically spots very little. Spotting that southeasternmost leopard, though, so I think these BMPs are all going to deploy kind of assuming that that is the threat here. Now, the infantry assault into the northern town was defeated slowly, and Dudayev actually brought in a Leopard 2 as a reinforcement there. And with no reinforcements coming in from Apple Cider, having to replace the T-80BVs lost in those fights, everything is going around Bravo now. They're expecting an infantry assault there with the Pulamachiki machine gun teams moving into do defense.
Yeah. MR10 number 2 hasn't arrived on the front line yet. We have 2 Leo 2A4 CVs instead on the battlefield now, or 3 Leo 2A4B CVs on the battlefield actually. So any of them reaching into Bravo would do well. We have another mortar for the smoke. Mortar on the side of Apple Cider gets found by the MR10. Leo 2A4B here under fire, needs to get the hell out of there. T-80BV ICD is pushing it. Ooh, mistake by Dudayev. Micro coming in too late. Loses the Leo 2A4B. Important find here by Apple Cider. That Leo 2A4 down there did a lot of work. So key little push there. Has 4 T-80BV ICDs now. Those have the same speed as the Leo 2A4. So the speed advantage on the other side is not active right now. And yeah, Dudayev needs to set up another good smoke play here to get back into Bravo with a CV, start to tick again, whilst the northern push here completely halted. Dudayev's forces in that town just a bit too strong, not enough artillery firepower on top of it. MR10 is nearly out of ammo, rotating around now, gets the supply truck already though. YPR's coming around here for the TOW 2 launchers in the south. It's just a question, how does Dudayev manage to get into Bravo? Shouldn't be that hard, actually. Just a bit of smoke play and he should be in there, but currently taking his time. I think that's a mistake, but we'll see how this develops here.
Yeah, the MI-24P has spotted the impending YPR invasion here and opening up with rockets on long ranges, but the unit should be able to unload themselves without...
Oh, Spetsnaz GIU getting the first hit out. The second one in fire range now as well. Both go down. Panzer Infantry nearly down as well. That is painful. Mi-24P under fire by the Stinger. Stinger about to get a second shot off. Ooh, Mi-24 just barely getting out of line of sight. MR10 now aiming towards the BRDM Conquerors. That's a good target. And the Leo 2A4 numbers once more growing back up to par in the south. Stinger team pushing forward, gets found by the Spetsnaz GIU, but also Spetsnaz GIU getting revealed by that, meaning that it might be shot up by an MR10 or so later. That the second MR10 is not on the battlefield really, I think, is a mistake at this point by Dudayev. Hope they have it in the deck. Maybe they only have one. But yeah, fine to be IDM Conquerors. Situation here still stable. And yeah, the Spetsnaz GIU with the Mi-24 stopping the push into Bravo. Buy Apple Cider a bit of time, and Apple Cider now trying to rotate the flank in the south. Leo 2A4 here, not in position just yet. 2 more Fagot teams coming in here into good building positions, this time spreading out so that the MR10 can't just finish them off with one shot again. And currently no smoke here from Dudayev at all. The smoke mortar hasn't been used, and that is a mistake. Should put up disruptive smoke like they did in the last push. And instead, the Leos will just try to face check all of this. The Fagot teams here getting another shot out. Leo 2A4 rolling in, but the other side has just as many tanks and a good bit more ATGMs behind it. You have the better ATGMs with the YPRs, but the YPRs being the front line here, not the game plan that gets you to victory. Getting under fire by the Fagot, one taken out. Dudayev really not using the smoke well right now. Sets it up now. Comes in with it, the MR10 shooting at the Fagot teams, both in the same building now again. Oh, Apple Cider playing with fire there again. The artillery finds them once more. The MR10 MVP of this game already. But the Leo 2A4 having a rough time against the IZDs now. Not really in a cohesive force, unlike the T-80BVs. The Acacia on target against the tank position of the enemy here as well. Leo 2A4s and YPRs have to find a better angle here. Smoke mortar of Dudayev maybe should constantly fire here and get some decent line of sights as well. This is going to be a really important fight here. This is the one that likely going to decide the game. Whoever wins this tank fight is going to get through into the other side zone. And it doesn't look too good for Dudayev here right now. The Leo 2A4 taking terrible engagements here. Shita going down, M113 going down. Two of the Leo 2s isolated and about to go down. Don't have smoke left. Both down now. No kill on the TADBV. Really weird moment here from Dudayev. Just completely passive and not using their micro at all.
Yeah, the Spetsnaz GRU gave perfect knowledge here for Dudayev, about Dudayev's forces for Apple Cider. The cluster doesn't even get the kill here, and a big issue has been that with the leopards, when the leopards get pushed down to low cohesion, it hits their rate of fire. And one of the only advantages a lot of Soviet tanks have to NATO tanks is their autoloaders, which prevent veterancy or cohesion from affecting the rate of fire. So at the end there, you could see that as that firing has been happening and Akatsias have been doing damage, a lot of those leopards kind of felt should have retreated instead of holding the ground, and retreated onto the range of these TOWs, which are TOW 2s, which are amazing at dealing with heavy tanks. But right now, I think you're correct that I don't believe Dudayev is getting back to this zone, despite buying another Leopard 2A4C. There are not that many units here that can punish Apple Cider for this push. If Apple Cider overextends completely, if for instance the BO-105 spots the Motora Svedka, and then the T-80s push despite the Motora Svedka dying, stuff like that could be an issue.
Yeah.
Most of the forces are outside the Spetsnaz GRU's range right now.
But Dudayev has all his fire support here also out in the open. The Akatsiya can easily see them. The TOW 2s all easy to find here. Like, that's just easy picking right now, whilst the units of Apple Cider getting into the forest positions now and getting a real siege onto the alpha point. And I'm really not quite sure what happened there, but Dudayev just didn't make any clicks there, it felt like. They were completely stunned. I'm not sure if they microed elsewhere, if they tried to get the artillery on target and so, but Leo 2A4s are the tanks that need the most micro in the game. But if you put micro into them, they're also one of the best tanks in the game, but there was just no management of the tanks at all for like 30 seconds straight. I mean, there was a lot of things happening, but there was also really little input there from Dudayev for a while, but Apple Cider did coordinate the attack really well. And the Akatsiya getting good hits, whilst the M110, for example, just not finding any valuable target at the same time. That all now leads to Alpha being under siege, and Dudayev not having the second M110 out just makes me wonder why they don't... like, where's the second M110? Like, the game plan was the long game.
They already used one card for mortars, one card for cheap artillery, and one card for the M110. They just did not take the fourth slot of artillery, which I get it, but in this case would have probably been really good, because the M110 is absolutely no question one of the best units in the game, and if you can get it, you should always have it.
Yeah, Geneva canners here under fire by the Akatsiya as well, taking out the recon there most likely, as it is reacting really late and likely not gonna get out of there. Ooh, barely makes it out. If Spets, not GRU, seeing the M110 there move. We see more MGs, we see more TOW 2s coming up, but the alpha defense is going to be insanely tough for Dudayev now, because you don't have those IFVs with 80 gems. You don't have the BMP2s. You are reliant on the Leo 2s, and when your Leo 2s take terrible engagements, that's something that you can't recover from against other tank divisions. Like, ADBVs, sure, if they go down, that's annoying, but first of all, get a decent amount of them in the division, and second of all, you also can still get a considerable attack force with 2 TADVs and a lot of BMP2s behind it. Leo 2 with a lot of IPRs behind it still sucks at attacking, so losing the Leo 2A force there is really costly, and the push towards Alpha does continue slowly here, but Apple Cider really playing the positional game better than Dudayev right now. I think Dudayev did a really good job at enveloping Bravo early on, but they just waited too long with taking Bravo from the south, and the Leo 2A force waited too long to enable infantry to get actually into the zone. So Apple Cider, with the Spetsnaz GRU and the constant ability to put new ATGM vehicle units into Bravo cheaply, just got a kind of free pass there that they didn't deserve, because Dive did enough to get back in there, but then just didn't. Just like Hannibal didn't follow up on it, didn't take Rome, and in that case, it might cost him all of it. Carthage might burn here.
Yeah, it's the TOE2s right now. Like I've been constantly looking at the different perspectives of these players, and Dudayev has basically spots nothing, but neither does Apple Cider. And with the 300-point leadership for Dudayev and only 13 minutes left, as the moment must have kind of passed here. There was no overextension, but there also was no real extension at any point. I have, for the longer time here, believed that the way for Apple Cider to best like finish the game would have been after that engagement to just move and transition the forces up north, where there is a lot of anti-infantry but very little anti-tank forces, and just take Charlie, hold it for the worth of 400 points, and during this time, as Dudayev has been regaining and rebuilding the tank force, this could have happened. But now the tank force is regained, and Apple Cider is pushing into a well-defended area without the recon advantage. And that recon advantage, when it comes to tank fights, is just absolutely crucial.
Yeah, Cheetah's being brought up here as the Mi-24 did a decent amount of work. The TOE2 here gets a good hit against TADBVK. Leo 2A4 trying to rotate around the flank. The number of BMP2s there is still worrisome. It's gonna be tough for the Leos to get the work done. Both sides infantry getting involved into this whole mess as well. The TADBVs from the northern flank pushing around as well. As the Nantres here now getting involved with their RPG launchers. The Motosvalky is not quite there yet, but the first Leo 2A4 now getting into range here, just pushing too close. You don't want to be in too close fights with your Leos here. But it's working out. The TADBVKs got stopped. The Leos should now get the hell out of there. Gets another BMP2 on the way out. Should increase the distance there so that the RPGs won't finish them off. The TADBVs in the northern part of the zone did finish off the Leo 2A4s that was up north. A Leo 2A4C still could rotate around, but the 4 still remaining Leo TADBVs without a cluster bomber, that is going to be a problem. Dudayev kind of tried to set up a push towards Foxtrot now, but they only have defensive weapons there. They don't have an aggressive pool of forces that can push in there. F-16 coming in with a decent amount of bombs. Does a good amount of damage. Leo 2A4C might be able to capitalize on it. Gets another good hit, but it's alone versus 4 enemy tanks. Gets hit twice, so is out of the combat now as well. No helicopters here for Dudayev. That's one of the big weaknesses of 4th-E, and the zone in the south here is about to fall. 10 minutes remaining, and yeah, Dudayev would need a push towards Foxtrot now. Now that bites him in the back that they didn't get further there and didn't really set up a force that actually can threaten that zone, because Alpha is about to fall. They have enough forces points-wise to push up north, but all of those forces are defensive MG teams. They can be used on the offense as well, but they're just not that efficient there. And it will be a tough push to pull off. It can happen here, and it should happen now, but it's not being done just yet. BRDM 2 getting shut down there in the middle, but the important unit here is the TADBVK that can still swing into Alpha. A lot of Leo 1 and Ls coming around. The Leo 2A4 is likely exhausted, as the MR10 now firing to the south. Dudayev needs to push north. And like, that's the only real long game hope here for Dudayev in my eyes. Alpha will get lost, but you can get Foxtrot still. But Apple Cider, realizing that now as well, is bringing in reinforcements, and Dudayev is still not moving. Dudayev moving towards Bravo, it seems, from a flank, but Leo 2A4C here in a pretty terrible spot. The 1B tank that is pushing through the open field in a bit of a weird spot there as well. There is still a BRDM 2 Conquerors. Yeah, this is a weird movement choice here. Leo 2A4C versus TADBV IZD. Gonna be important here as well. MR10 did a bit of damage. This is a really, really tough position to be in. A couple of kills on important CVs, and this still can go to Dayev's way, especially if the northern flank can achieve something, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I think the Dudayev's recon advantage and recognition of how especially the AA and all of this has moved up. The blob itself, the massive late game Arbor blob, is moving southwest. So just doing this to just discombobulate the enemy, just mess up their planning and force them to micro against you or something. Even that is relevant at this point. I don't like when it comes to infantry. Apple Cider has so solidly gotten the infantry in here. The M110 is participating in the fight, was trying to hit these Motostrelki in here, but the positions for the Dutch infantry are not great. They're obviously are not running engineers, and their main weapon against soft targets, the PRIs, are there are no good positions for them to engage in, really. And yep, here comes two F-16s trying to dive the Mi-24P.
Oh, TO-55's getting towards the Fagot, getting towards the Leo 2A4B. Leo 2A4B showing front armor there, getting sent down. YPR rotating in from the north, but there is no CV in Alpha at all. The Leo 2A4B CV is further down south. Another Leo 2A4B CV is being brought up as the YPR is making it into the zone, but the Spetsnaz GIU there still has 2 RPG launchers shots left. The Conquerors is firing on the YPR as well. Does not get the hit with the first shot, but Leo 2A4B still a bit out. YPR has smoke, might already have used it though, and the Spetsnaz GIU now moving in for the kill. With this 2 RPG launchers still remaining, one of them on this short range should hit. Leo 2A4 leader in the south goes down as well. Panzer Infantry, oh, nearly finding a side shot there. Leo 1NL could have maybe found a side shot against the TADBVK there as well. That could change things. There is a second TADBVK there, but the Panzer Infantry finally finds a hit. The second TADBVK super low as well. First one goes down. MR10 could maybe find some value as well. Spetsnaz GIU finds the kill up further north as the Leo 2A4 CV gets back into the action. One more in the south, nearly out of fuel, but in close to 2 supply vehicles. TADBVK there, desperately trying to stay in the smoke. YPR moving around, trying to stop the enemy infantry. Another TADBV moving forward as the Leo 2A4, the one remaining one in the center, desperately holding off the TO-55 and Fagot missiles, but now has to retreat out of there. They're likely gonna get side-shotted here in a second. Yeah, it goes down as 2 IZDs rotate up north, but the IZDs not staying in the south. Ooh, this might leave open a chance for a draw, but nothing here really to kill the TADBVK that's still remaining there. There's a second BRDM CV behind it, and only a contestation needs to happen here for Apple Cider, so with smoke they should be able to do it. MR10 not firing right now either, and they had no force left to move to Foxtrot. This is over. Dudayev is kind of toast here.
Yeah, Dudayev just not being able to trade up, not being able to trade up as much as we wanted. There were moments, there were positions, and I think you're you viewed this as an M110 game, that this was simply just you get your recon up, you get your KCT Verkeners, and then you keep pounding them with M110s, forcing them to attack you, and then facing your better Leopard tanks and your TOW2 missiles. But that form of artillery gameplay never actually manifested itself. And the my long-standing issue here, which was that I think Dudayev could have had the chance, could have probably pretty easily with the faster tanks even just get into Bravo from the west side, and then
west side push is always hard because it's such an open field. Like, if you fail to get in there, plus the enemy infantry can wait in the buildings for you. But yeah.
No, I mean at one point, in the mid game, I think there should have been a switch. I think both players could have at many points benefited from switching up, of just moving, sending your tanks to support a secondary attack. Like 2 infantry goes there, and then your tanks go there as well, and you get in the leader, and then your tanks move out, and then your tanks reposition. That kind of stuff would have worked out well. I think both of them were locked into this large grind, and Apple Cider's artillery, I think, were and the smoke play in the end. Both players smoke play really, but Apple Cider's artillery play, especially Dudayev's airplanes, never managed to be the sort of massive force that they could have been, and that was probably because Apple Cider invested really heavily into coups right from the start. And the M110s, the M110 did do damage, but none of this was enough to compensate for just the Akatsias and just so much damage done by the T-80s. And should be mentioned, you mentioned this also, but the IZD-29, the fastest pack tank, it is hilariously fast. T-80 is just, it's unnatural. God didn't make the T-80 to run at Leopard 2 speeds. Thank you very much. It's unnatural. And it really benefited from that speed in many of those engagements of running away from toes, and also still managing to keep up the little bit of an advantage with the rate of fire when in the longer engagements with the Leopards.
Yeah, and in the end here, Apple Cider getting the idea that they went into the game with, pushed through, won the important big tank fight, and Dayev's forces outside of the tanks not capable of stopping the armored onslaught. And with that, getting the first map win here. Second map, gonna be a really different kind of beast. 16th Panzer Division versus 6 US Infantry on Omen. That's gonna be a completely different skill set needed from both players there. So I'm pretty excited for that as well. Quick break, guys, and then we're gonna be back with Apple Cider versus Dudayev, game number 2. We return game number 2 with Dayev on the left side of Omen, bringing around the 16th Panzer Division, Apple Cider on the right, bringing around 6 US infantry. And before I jump in, once more, the obligatory shout out to the Matcherino page, and also the reminder to leave a like if you're watching on YouTube, and also check out Chloride's channel if you want more of WARNO ranked action in your life. And especially if you're watching in European morning hours, there might be a perfect streamer now for you there with Chloride. So yeah, if you're up for a bit of WARNO action, a bit of political discussions, check out.
Any late night Australians out there? Late night Australians, my people.
Yeah, Dark Neutron and Co. Finally having a streamer for them. And yeah, Dudayev here coming around with a beautiful little division that really rose up in the group stage times of Season 5. Has gotten nerfed a bit since then with how the meta has evolved with the buff of high altitude bombers and so on. And on the other side of the division, that has been grinding up its way ever since it came into the game as well. 6 US infantry. And on this white map, both of these divisions can do a lot. So what do you expect will we see here from these two players?
Yeah, so looking at the more standard deployment here, the forward deployment of the Belgians includes 2 components. First, you have the Luxembourgian Space Marines, the Fusiliers, which are deployed as paratroopers, and they are going to be getting in a relatively safe offensive deployment in the Bravo. And then you also have the ESR GVP Special Forces Recon units. These are kind of the The Belgian Deltas, even though they don't have, unfortunately, Carl Gustavs, they are deployed with helicopters, and they are deployed with forward-deploying helicopters as well, so they can get into basically anywhere they want. And one of these GVPs is actually getting into the forested hill between Bravo and India. So that's a position from which they can basically move and get into spotting basically any reinforcement roads. And this is a great force multiplier for this spotting. It's a great force multiplier for the 2 Leopard 1s and 1 Gepard that are going to be following this attack. Basically, they are not going to be stacking up, but instead they are building a wider front line in which the Leopards can then go and engage enemies at will. This is most likely due to the fact that 6th US is a lighter division than 16th. It doesn't run standard tanks. It only has the National Guard's M48 ACADs, which do have nice penetration, but otherwise are really, really quite mediocre and not coming out in numbers. And if you can deal with those few M48s, the Leopards will be the kings of the battlefield for quite a long time. Now, Apple Cider, coming back with this light infantry division, is attacking with mass. I wouldn't say mass, but yeah, mass infantry. It's not stupid spam. It's 2 snipers, a single airborne, 50 cal machine guns, 2 Navy SEALs, and a bunch of Stingers. And the Stingers are there to protect the Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs are kind of like the SAS, mega powerful and expensive special forces units locked at re-veterancy, but these ones don't have their own anti-air weaponry, so the Stingers are out there to make sure they get something. Navy SEALs can 1v1, especially in town environments, basically every single enemy infantry unit, but they are a little bit too expensive, so if they just end up hanging around and the enemy ends up playing around them, then they can be a bad investment, which is why bringing just 2 of them is a pretty significant deal, I think.
Yeah, and the 2 of them really can run through all the infantry. They also have good accuracy on the AT4 and so on, so you don't want to get close with any vehicle against them as well. I like the ESR GVP setup here with the A109 coming up a bit faster than the enemy. The AB Stingers, if they are microed correctly, might get the A109 on the way out, but on the way in, the fast helicopters here, together with the Lynx, the fastest helicopters in the game, 270 kmh, coming in quick. Italian, awesome helicopter design, one of the best looking helicopters of the late Cold War era, and just setting out the ESR GVPs here. Has to be careful with their movement afterwards, but I really like the one on the flank. That one can do a lot of work with spotting the enemy, and yep, first one gets out, second one gets out. AB Stingers getting a shot out here. 2 of them, the second 2 getting unloaded now as well, might get the A109 from being sold. That's that's unfortunate. The Alouette gets shut down. ESR GVP here pushing forward on its own though, that's a mistake. Budayev doesn't want to lose this in a fight against the Navy SEALs, and it has no chance against the Navy SEALs, so moving that this way is a bit of a mistake. Humvee rotating around the flank. Alouette in the south gets shut down as well. That's the Alouette in the north. Does spot the ITO units moving around. So that's an interesting intelligence situation there for Budayev as well. One of the ITOs going the long way around into the enemy spawn. That could work out there. But the center fight here with the Leo 1BEs is going to be a really, really crucial one. Scimitar getting involved, will get outgunned by the M48s, and the infantry is in a bad spot as well here, so Budayev needs to avoid fights until the flank is in position.
In both sides, the Vulcan systems are doing a lot of work here, but the Vulcan and Budayev's side managed to push out a Navy SEAL unit. Now, with the 50 cows having suppressed it, the Vulcan might be going down here. Fusiliers, very important here. Budayev just wants to not lose forces. Budayev wants to keep a fighting retreat and not lose any of these units. Budayev's tanks are now coming. doing a flank attack into the enemy reinforcement, and there are a bunch of mech fusiliers and even more Vulcan guns coming in. And with those AIFV C-25s, those M113s equipped basically with the Bushmaster Oerlikon cannons, 4 penetration ones, they will be enough fire support to beat this force. So now the Leopard's opening fire here on longer ranges and doing some slow damage. Oh, but the Corsair coming in, trying to dive in deep. The Corsairs, and this is an AT plane though, it's not the most dangerous one, but the bunch of the Corsairs, they are older generation bombers, and they do bombing the old-fashioned way, which is a lot of bombs. They are tend to be expensive, and they tend to be quite deadly, and you get a bunch of them. And because they are high-altitude bombers, Dudaev's Belgians are going to have a huge problem dealing with them, because the Belgians don't get any long-range missiles. They don't get fighters or ground AA with long-range missiles, just the handheld Mistrals and the Vulcans.
Yeah, Mistral gets a hit on the Corsair, so it's pushed the way out. And yeah, the AVs arriving on the front line, Humvee CP coming around from the north, getting into the zone at the same time as the CPC on the other side. And the Ito little National Guard M151 is getting into the enemy rear now. So that might get some nasty kills there. It's a really good spot for ATGM ambushes. You have a long open stretch of road, and you're far enough away from enemy normal units to spot you. So that is pretty helpful. At the meantime, the AFVs in the middle now, getting into the fight. M48s need to move around to kill them, or the Navy SEALs need to find better positions, but no easy approach towards them. And the Layer 1 BEs in the north, now with recon enabling them to get shots out again, getting back into the action as well. So the amount of Leos here slowly building up, and Dudaev's setup of them, getting the Northern Forest, really, really helpful here. As the Navy SEALs go down, Tow Cobra moving to the front line, couple of Gepard situation, like the Gepard setting up with the helicopters, couple of Mistrals and so on. All of that is really nice. The issue is, if you run out of Gepards and Mistrals, you're just gonna die as 16th in this matchup, because then the aircraft on the other side just wanna bomb you back into the Stone Age. The game plan.
Oh, the Ito in the backline is took out a Leopard and now is trying to take out another Leopard, though he's going to miss that.
I believe you're a bit ahead of me in time.
Am I? I'm in 13:22.
I'm at 34:26. 34.
Oh, 34:26.
Remaining in the top. 34:21. Okay, yeah.
I'm just gonna let you catch up with me. Yeah.
And Leo 185. Yeah, first one goes down. The Ito has only 4 shots, so has to be careful with what it gets. Yeah, the second shot there on the Leo 185 BE, not gonna hit the 34-3, and now at 34. And Milan once here, moving around. Pioneer Flam getting in. Ito didn't come with a supply truck. Doesn't get the supply truck there with the final hit either, as that's still a good kill here against the Leo 1, but with the opportunity cost of you investing 50 points of your opener to get into the enemy line, it's not the biggest victory there. Like, yes, it gets double the investment price, but with 50 points more on the front line, you might have been able to overwhelm the enemy there. So in the end, nice, but not amazing. M48's here under fire. First one goes down, second one nearly down as well. And losing these tanks, just meaning that you don't have any tanks left anymore later on to ever duel anything on longer distances, is really annoying with 6. So you try to keep these M48s as a threat alive as long as possible, and kind of try to avoid combat for as long as possible, and only bring them out in opportune moments. But it's not quite working out here right now. Leo 1BE at least doesn't get the kill, but damages both of them. So the M48s here, the remaining ones, forced to fall back. More airborne dragons coming in, another Tow Cobra. But with the Mistrals and Cheetahs, helicopters are not the answer here.
Yeah, this is the Tow Cobras are nice in kind of preventing enemy breakthroughs, but the Tow Cobras only have 14 rockets, so they're not really efficient doing that against infantry anyways. And yeah, the Leopard 1, like the Leopard 1 kill is nice because that's one of the only ways that Sixth is going to kill these leopards right now. Like the dragons here could get
Oh, Navy SEALs getting side shots. Gets the next leopard. That's an important one. The 3 airborne dragons also coming out. And the Leo 185 BE, I believe, already smoked off. Yes, gets killed off there as well. Important ambushes here from Apple Cider. 2 important kills. At the same time, though, Duyaev putting up a lot of infantry through the southern part of the center zone. An airborne dragon of Apple Cider trying to get into the rear in the south, but those Mech Fusiliers, together with Milans, together with Gepards here, moving on to get into good spots in the south. That's really scary here for Apple Cider as well, as Apple Cider is so focused on the center here right now. The A7D Corsair coming in for the Gepard will finish the job there. And yeah, taking out AA is the way to victory here for Apple Cider in the long game. In the short game, getting points here through infantry fights would be the more important thing, but that is currently in the infantry fights not working out as well. Airborne Stinger there going down, the VADS ran out of ammo, the Alaskan snipers under fire now as well, and yeah, Dudaev just has to be careful to keep the VADS, Gepards and Mistrals alive throughout the game in high enough numbers that you can at least start taking out a couple of these Corsairs. Another one comes around, gets another Leopard, another Rocket one running through. That really is the danger here. That's how you lose the game, when the Corsairs can stay alive constantly and come back in time and again and run you down. That's the way how you lose here as 16th Belgium.
Yeah, the overextensions, both the overextensions against those infantry, the Navy SEALs and the airborne dragons, getting those 2 kills, but then also just still keeping them spottable close to the front line, the tanks, even though you don't have a proper anti-air line here. Those risks for Dudaev are paying off seriously here. There are a bunch of leopards, and even enough to allow for losses of 0 of these Veterancy 2 leopards, which are lower on availability. But keeping up this sort of continuous attacks from Dudaev's parts is not really paying off well. The tow cobras, the planes, and the stealthy infantry just too easily can dismantle the main power. Like if you have like 5 leopards in one group, they can fire and then you can just run them off, and the damage against infantry has been done. They have done most of their fire support like duty at that point. That leopards also have great rate of fire, so even without 50 cows, they can reliably just help infantry win these fights.
Corsair here is likely toast. Gepard on the target still, gets the kill there. First Corsair down. That's an important little step towards success for Dudaev. Every single plane that you shoot down here has long-time consequences for Apple Cider, and the CV goes down in the center. So Dudaev also about to get a bit of a point to take online here, and that is crucial as well here. Omen can be a map that is surprisingly hard to get a tick on as well, even though you have so many zones and they're spread out. Sometimes this game map still ends with only 200-300 points on both players' accounts, so getting some early on here and getting over the 100-point lead now is still pretty nice here for Dudaev, as the Leopard 1A numbers here just start to become really obnoxious.
Yeah, the Pioneer and the Pioneer Flan in the forest here are gonna work pretty well against these Alaskan cavalry scouts. Despite the upvetting, the cavalry scouts or Alaskan troops are reserve units, which means that they do take a lot more suppression. So if the Pioneers disengage here, and especially if the Flames just get in there and or the Satchels can be fired upon, though it looks like they're engaging 2v1. Okay, Pioneers are getting in range.
Ooh, Seedplane trying to get some kill. One Mistral goes down, and the Seedplane does survive here. The Intruder gets out. So that's interesting also that we see the Intruder as the Seedplane of choice. It's the cheaper one with the Shrike missiles.
Yeah, I think it's because this was a counter pick against the Belgians, and the Belgians are the Berlin command of today. They are the division that you are kind of legally mandated to air spam against, because they don't have that good air defense.
Yeah, so the Shrike missiles are still outraging the Gepards. Like, Shrike's issue is that against long range AA, the strike is outranged by the Eyehawk, for example. So you get shot up, it gets stunned before you can get your strikes out. But against Gepards, if you micro it correctly, that's not an issue. And you don't need the EVOR capability against the enemy fighters here either, because the F-16s are terrible fighters. And one single F-15 microed well should be able to just keep all the F-16 of the Belgians in check, because the AIM-9P will never get enough hits to kill it. As the Stinger here finds another 109. The +1 take here is still really solid here for Dudayev, and Dudayev has done a decent job getting enough infantry into the fight, so Apple Cider needs to do stuff with the air, needs to do stuff with the bombs, and maybe some artillery play here as well, because the infantry quality, yes, the Navy SEALs are great, and the other infantry is strong and flexible with the airborne and the light rifle RCL, but cost efficiency wise, they are not better than the Belgians. The Belgians with 3 MGs in infantry fights are fantastic. Mech Fusiliers do a fantastic job at even dealing here on long range with Navy SEALs, so that is a problem here for Apple Cider right now.
Yeah, the Alaskan Cavalry Scouts won those fights against the Pioneers in the forest by just engaging 2v1 and opening up with the recoilless rifles and stunning the enemy down before they could do any issue. The reservist traits is a debuff on the defensive stats of the unit, so they do their good damage and they regain their cohesion really fast, but they just gain that cohesion quickly as well. So the Cavalry Scouts here, in that way, very efficient 45-point assault units moving. Probably will be able to fight the GVP as well if they can get a 2v1.
Yeah, if VB's rotating around, the M109 here now immediately
Spotting the leader.
Yeah, that is a problem for Apple Cider. Hopefully, micros that one as fast as possible there, as the southern flank still super slow. Dudayev playing really defensively there with a good amount of forces to defend Alpha. So no easy push there for Apple Cider. As the next intruder here out and about, or it might be the same intruder here, with 2 strike missiles coming around, trying to find the Gepards and trying to get some hits there. The VADS on the other side without radar, so can't target those. But killing off Gepards still reduces the enemy air defense by an important factor, so that your bombers can do the rest. And yeah, both sides here waiting out close in the southern part of the map is right now. The Leo number has been reduced heavily once more. More on the way though. M109 with important targeting now against the Navy SEALs and the LRS. Needs to get a bit closer to the front line here maybe, but still those artillery units here, long game, will be really, really helpful for the Dudayev as well.
Yeah, the AIFVs on long ranges managing to destroy one of the cavalry scouts, and probably going to be allow the Pioneers and Mech Fusiliers to push back into that forest. Holding that forest is so crucial because there are so many soft targets for Apple Cider. Cars, infantry units, trucks, and the 25mm autocannons of the AIFVs are perfect against them. And if they can hold the south side of that forested hill, they could...
Mistral getting the hit against the Tokobra, and Tokobra not quite getting the kill on the Mistral in return. That would have been a nice kill for the Tokobra there. Every Mistral team here is worth a lot for Dudayev at this stage. The M109 did do a bit of damage against the Navy SEALs, but the Navy SEALs still can push forward now. And the Mistral team is in danger, gets the Tokobra kill as well, at least, but those are the best manpads in the game, the Mistrals, so they are actually quite capable against aircraft as well. Great accuracy and decent range, so that they usually get a shot off against any plane flying close to them. But yeah, they are also pretty expensive, and you don't get endless numbers of them. So this Mistral team really should micro back. A good couple of them have already gone down. All the one in the forest in the north have been reduced to 1 as well. Another Gepard coming up. Another, yeah, 2 Gepards coming up here behind the line. But Corsair AT flying around. Push here of the Navy SEALs does push forward towards the Pioneers. Mortars doing a good job with the smoke here. AFVs not really in the right spot. VADS pushed back. The Humvee CP goes down. Leo 1 here not really in a bad spot either. F-16 HE comes in, gets the kill against the Navy SEALs. so at least gets a bit of retaliation, but with the F-15s has to be careful as well. Mistral getting shots out in the south, gets the ADS, but the Corsair stays alive there as well. And the infantry situation in the center for Dudayev is currently deteriorating quickly. Mistral team still out there. The 50 cal team's completely blocked off from engaging. Really good usage of the smoke there by Apple Cider once more, just like in the last game. Really good smoke play. At the same time, though, Dudayev is going for a bit of a killing blow towards India in the north, and that is a good choice if that's getting pulled through.
Yeah, this is the infantry attack, and it's pretty clear the infantry reinforcements arrived just in time. The fireteam laws with those Kakvi AGL supports, as well as 3 more light rifle squads, and there was a perfection in timing that even if Apple Cider's units wouldn't have been able to push that, the infantry reinforcements would have been. And now there actually might be a little bit too many infantry units in the middle because the mech fusiliers and fusiliers just were not as numerous as thought. But all the mech forces here, as you're saying, are going in for the killing blow in India. Ito getting smoked out, AIFVs, the rest of them opening fire, and looking at reinforcements. Oh no, all the points have been used by supply for the middle and IHawks for the middle. Only a single infantry reinforcement unit is bought for India, and the enemy has already entering the zone. This is a huge weakness on Apple Cider's front line here. All those Corsair AT planes and all of those light rifles, they take their toll, and now Apple Cider's just in the middle en masse.
Oh, Gepard though, the first unit that runs into the Ito, losing these AA units. This is the only unit that runs into the National Guard Ito. Gepards would be so good in the tree lines there, ambushing any unit that flies directly over. And the CV tank is the next one going down! Oh my goodness! The National Guard Ito unit getting the exact 2 units that are the important ones. Any other loss there would have been annoying, but replaceable relatively easily. But both the Gepard and
this is a tragedy.
Really
this
important
is a
kills
tragedy of the
maximum slowing
scale.
down the gameplay of the Dudayev by a lot. Dudayev realizing they need to move in there. They brought in Iltis for the middle. The Iltis is now rotating north. That's the right choice. It would not hold the middle for all that long, so rotating up north there makes sense. Next CV coming in for the middle. F-16A trying to get towards the Corsairs. You need to get rid of the Cobras. You need to try to get some damage on the Corsairs. And AA situation here deteriorating relatively quickly right now for Dudayev. Gets a kill against the supply helicopters in the middle. 2 of them falling. 3 of them falling to the VADS. Important kills there. F-16 failing to get the kill against the Cobra though. And yeah, Gepard number 3 running up there. The Ito finally out of fire, as Leopard 1's just trying to push the H1S Cobra. It's the one without any 20mm autocannon, so it can't deal any real damage to the Leopard 1's here. 50 cal pushing up to it as well, so that Cobra is going to get pushed out of there. Iltis should now move on and get the take on into that position. The middle is fallen, but infantry can't really push out of the middle. Pushing to Charlie puts you through a lot of open space. Pushing to Delta puts you over a lot of open space. Pushing to Alpha takes you through a long hill push, and then you are still pushing into a relatively open zone. So the infantry of Apple Cider is kind of locked into the middle, and that is a long game problem that is going to be really painful. Dudayev needs to turn off the Gepards. The Gepards not being seat microed here, massive mistake. OA-10 coming around here. Oh, the Iltis PC might be found there. Seaplane shooting at the Gepard. 0810 coming around. Spotting the Iltis, but not on the first turn. So the Iltis likely will get the capture going here and get the full capture on. The lack of AA here for Dudayev though. 18 minutes still to go. That is going to be... He doesn't get the capture! And the Gepard goes down as well. Disaster once more for Dudayev here.
Yeah, and Dudayev's artillery hasn't been firing for a long time, and I think that kind of represents a lot of opportunity cost, as I say, in that unit not being able to target the cornucopia of soft units here. The Alaskan Cavalry Scout elites once again pushing, cleaning up the Pioneers that Dudayev did not micro to get into Pioneer engagement range. And meanwhile, Dudayev's Fusiliers and supported by some light mech are pushing back into the middle from whence the Iltis PC was just destroyed a moment ago.
Yeah, Gepard here under fire again here, and that is a problem as well. The autocannon fire here trying to help out. Gepard getting a smoke. Still on a +1 here for Dudayev right now. That is the good thing, but a +3 would be so good right now. A +3 would get him up at 120 points per minute, and that would create a lead that the other Apple Cider would take a long time to gain back, even when they get a +1 online by retaking India. With only a +1 right now, the center can get that back relatively quickly, and most likely Apple Cider won't need to move anywhere else, because with the air, India should be something that can be cleared out. Command Fusiliers trying to get back into the center, and trying to get the tick up to a +2 here for a while, but there's just too much infantry of Apple Cider here right now, so that is not really working out. Maybe he gets it in there for a small couple of seconds, but there's just so much infantry. The infantry of Dudayev just gets annihilated in split seconds. A lot of ITOs though went down, so the push towards the north against mechanized forces is going to be reliant fully on air. The Command Fusiliers actually make it into the zone, but jump into the church tower. That's a mistake. He'll be spotted by all the enemy infantry there, so that's not working out. The next infantry unit is trying to push north, but the cavalry scouts are trying to get into the way there. Trying to create the +3 still with the rear zone capture. +2 currently. At least created a 200-point lead. And the Gepards here now desperately trying to kill the enemy F-15s. They are potentially getting one here, as the Gepards all around have to be careful. Corsairs coming in, OA-10s moving around. The leader Command Fusilier here in a lot of danger, trying to get through the lines, as Mistrals defending the line. F-16 helping out against the intruder. Might get the OA-10. Is getting on top of it. Doesn't have any missiles left, but at least gets good damage. Forces it out before it can finish off the Leo 10. 1A VEs. The Corsair still gets an ATGM out though. That finishes the job. F-16 flying over the Ihawks in the middle. That's not a healthy way of doing things. The leader rotates around through the northern flank though, so likely gonna achieve success in India. And Apple Cider not even trying to retake India is a big mistake right now.
Apple Cider is moving in another Humvee CP here, and yeah, with 3 more airborne units here. And this is the expensive infantry, maybe not the most value ones, but you just have them around there, and they are going to deter any future enemy movements. Basically, I think Apple Cider is kind of running out of recon in many ways, because they'll be using their recon units in a non-recon fashion. So the airborne are just going to have to hold it for the air power to do the damage.
No recon A-10 around right now, so the Command Fusiliers likely gonna make it in. There is a TOW Cobra though. The AFV might be able to help out there. As the Command Fusiliers making into the zone. Nope, the TOW Cobra does spot it. The Command Fusiliers getting in and will get the capture of the zone going through. Yeah, Humvee CVP coming in on the other side. TOW Cobra will find the Humvee and will get some shots out. No AA around here. The VADS too far in the rear. The Command Fusilier does have a smoke. Could disengage of that towards the VADS and try to bait the enemy in. Iltis PC moving around again. +1 once more with the Humvee getting the contest. 13 minutes going. That's still enough if the center gets retaken here by Apple Cider. Not having the +3 here, really painful. First airborne gets shot down by the Leo 1BE, but the TOW Cobra now finds the spot on it. Leo 1 trying to get the line of sight broken, gets routed though. AFVs pushing forward with infantry. Command Fusiliers still not spotted, can do smoke play. I really should use smoke play on them, as he is bringing in AFVs here to deal with the Humvee CPs, and 2 Humvee CPs here at one spot. That's an overextension of Apple Cider. If he loses both of them, he might run out of CVs, but oh no smoke, Micro! Dudayev, that's your win condition! Use your win condition! Oh, this is going to be a really, really tough game now for Dudayev. He has no easy way back into the middle, and the way into the north is reliant on that VADS shooting down the Toe Cobra and then just keeping the Iltis PC alive for long enough to get it somehow in there whilst killing off the Humvee CPs. First one goes down, second Humvee likely gonna make it out. And yeah, the airplay here, really, really dangerous. Still all across the board, and not enough AA around to kill these Corsairs. More damage on one in the middle. That's that one. Okay, finally an AT1 going down. Intruder coming in with the seed missiles though, and the Gepard anti-seed micro here has been really lackluster throughout the game as well. Or basically non-existent. Corsair coming in here, trying to get the kill. Doesn't have his line of sight though. Gets hit, gets shot up. Second Corsair AT going down. Mech Fusiliers trying to push forward. VADS not helping out in the north. +1 right now for Apple Cider. Dudayev now attempting a push in the south, but there are a lot of Alaska scouts. And oh, those are only the normal scouts, not the RCL one though, so might be a way in the south. Iltis, CV, and some infantry coming in there as well. Dudayev really trying to play this as wide as possible. That's a good idea, but also making it harder than it needs to be here right now.
Yeah, the Gepards, at least one of them, already ran out of ammunition with that, especially trying to fire at those fire teams, which currently are being spotted here. Just a stack of 4 zero-wet fire teams is more than enough to slow this force down right now. The Leopard 1A5 leader is not revealing itself, though it's pretty clear if the Pioneers are attacking that there has to be some kind of a CB unit behind them. Now let's see how well that
gets into action itself. Mistral team gets taken out by it. 2 F-16As coming out. The F-15s have overextended for the most part, so that A-10 might got, but 2 Irehawks in the center get the first hit. F-16 needs to go through, needs to stop this, but it's going for the intruder instead. That's not the target. The A-10 is the dangerous unit here. Comes for the VADS now. Will take out the next AA piece and will leave the south completely undefended now. So the Iltis Führungs is in danger as well. Is the next target here of the A-10. A-10 will get some spotting on. Trying to get the gun run and gets the CV killed there. Dudayev won't get the south and is likely now also running low on CVs across the board. Has the Leo 1BE in the middle, has the Iltis in the north, but no CV left for the south right now, and I'm not sure if there's one more in the deck. Maybe there's one more Leo 1BE. I'm not quite sure how many of those have been used so far.
There's a Humvee CP coming in.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's another card. I'm not sure we have seen the first Humvee CP used yet.
We have. We saw it in the early game, in the opener.
Okay. Right, that's what's great at the point lead at the beginning. The Leo 1BE here, together with the AVs and the Pioneer Flames, still trying to hold the middle. Milan units coming around for that position as well. Northern defense line here for Apple Cider has been created. The tank push in the south is doing okay, but the OA-10A not being pushed back by the F-16, really big mistake. Otherwise, that would have been another tick already going on here for Dudayev. Dudayev being a bit clumsy with the CV and with the targeting here. That does cost him quite a bit of points at this point already. And with only 8 minutes remaining, having 300, 400 points more at this stage here would just be a victory already, most likely. With the current situation, it's going to be a lot tougher. The Humvee CP on the way in, but Airborne Dragons trying to intercept. There are 2 CVs on the way into the enemy rear here. The 50 Cults are in position, but they're likely not going to stop the contest. And that's the +2 point. That's the fast tick here, likely coming in for Apple Cider. So that's going to be a troublesome situation here as well. Leo 1 does go down. Airborne Dragon moving on. Humvee CP in trouble. Yeah, and Dudayev struggling. Iklur gets the LRS, but the Humvee CP has a relatively high chance of being killed off before it makes it into the zone at Gulf. And yeah, the 50 Cults now opening up fire. The fire team leaders do have smoke though, and Apple Cider is looking at the position. First one is moving in, but yeah, there comes the smoke. That can now move through the smoke, can now move towards the zone, and there we go. AO10 gets the CV Humvee. No CV here at the alpha point. Rocket Mirage should just strafe down the spot. Leaders trying to get closer. AO10s coming around. M109 not being used for a while here, and we have a GG. And I guess that's Dudayev surrendering at this point. Yeah, Dudayev surrendering at this point. KD here in the end, super heavily in favor of Applesiders. Yeah, Dudayev just lost too much to the airplay in the end there and left the infantry grind in the middle on with not really using the advantage of his fire support from longer ranges. Like the AFVs just drove too many times too close to the front line there instead of staying behind the infantry. Just the classic micro mistake of just taking the whole plop and A-clicking forward instead of just the infantry and moving the infantry forward. And that left to a lot of good kills here for Applesider. And yep, the air defense of 16th once more being the downfall.
Yeah, and remember when I mentioned that artillery piece that had been forgotten? It was forgotten to the end of the game. There were so much stacking infantry. There were 4 fire teams and 3 deltas in the same buildings. In all of those, just Dudayev relegating away, probably due to just the stressfulness of playing 16th against an air spam division, just forgot that it existed. There were. I think I think Dudayev contesting that middle position was a big mistake. We of course saw the massive reinforcements that came in there, even when the Navy SEALs completely managed to push themselves up there. I think Dudayev played with a lot of pioneers and pioneer Flam, and those are units that can benefit a lot from infantry micro, and they need that infantry micro, especially when they're going against superior, more expensive units. And that micro just was not there. And the Leopard gameplay would have maybe developed into an unstoppable force early on had there not been overextensions. But when Dudayev was kind of locked into the position of having to constantly rebuild mech without ever, of course, getting to do the same against enemy planes, this made, in the end, Applesiders just scaling so much more powerful. Now, artillery smokes, they could have maybe competed with this. They could have maybe compensated a little bit, but that was the artillery buildup was stopped by this being just such an incredibly intense game. Yeah, and so the father of Chechenian independence goes down once again.
Yeah, and I have to end the stream here real quick now, guys, because handball EM final has started, so gotta switch over there real quick and watch some handball. You should do as well. Germany versus Denmark. It's going to be a really epic final, so let's have some fun over there. And yeah, see you all later tonight with some more Army General multiplayer. And yeah, see you all with more WARNO League in the upcoming week. And yeah, thanks for watching, everybody.